lies. It was just
bullshit. What's the difference?
It wasn't lies. It was
just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit.
Who said liar? I said bullshit artist. And what's the difference? Because I don't lie.
Hello and welcome to No Lies, Just Bullshit. I'm your host, Nick Swartz, and it's Labor Day and I'm grilling right now, which is not normally what I'm doing when I record these intros. So if you hear any outdoor noises of snap, crackle, popping, forgive me. Before we get into this week's episode, which is so fucking dope, I want to mention Alliance Tattoo. I'm just flipping a rib out here. AllianceTattooSupply.com. AllianceTattooSupply.com is where you can go to get everything you need to run your joint. They have thermofaxes, they have thermofax paper, they have table drapes, they have machines, they have pigment, they have all kinds of different tools. They have, they have the sketchbook from Josh Brown, you name it, they got it. And I'm pretty sure they have now disposable, lightweight, stainless grips. So, you can get everything you need. I should have more information on that, but I don't right this minute. But go on to AllianceTattooSupply.com and they do. That's the place you want to go, man. These are good folks out of Richmond, Virginia that support Alley Cat Tattoo. They support No Lies, Just Bullshit. We appreciate their friendship and support big time, man. They're good folks. AllianceTattooSupply.com. Hope all you all are having a wonderful holiday. When this drops, it'll be Tuesday, episode 382, if I'm not mistaken. And man, last episode was incredible. Shouts to Sam. This one's just as good, man. Dean Flashman is his name. He goes by Dean Flashman on Instagram. Man, we had a great time. So, tattooing, the tattoo business, whatever you want to call it, has given me, I met my wife at a tattoo shop at Alley Cat. I met my closest friends in this world in a tattoo shop. And Dean and his boss, Bill, are folks that I met at Pagoda. And we ended up just sort of hanging out year after year, underneath the tent, just kicking it, usually on Thursday night, maybe Sunday night, when things aren't as rowdy, when things weren't as live as they are at the big party. And, Dean just always just treated me so well. He's nice, he's respectful, he's a gentleman. And in the past 2 years, his tattooing has exploded. I mean, he really puts it in. He puts in the work, he puts in the time, and he's just evolving. He was great when I met him, but he's just turned the volume up, man. And it's exciting to see. And I wanted to have him on. He's one of those folks that it's kind of sad I'm not going to see him every year at Pagoda. There's a lot of folks that way, but that gives me the opportunity to announce. And I don't have an exact date, and I do not have a full roster yet, but I do have some committed folks. But yeah, we're gonna, in honor of the 25th anniversary of Alley Cat Tattoo, I'm gonna be putting on a mini tattoo convention at Alley Cat Tattoo. I'm calling it the Shenandoah Rose, and I'm real excited to sort of fill the slot that Pagoda had, And I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to provide. I know I'm gonna be able to provide a roster of top tier tattooers that are gonna draw collectors and tattooers from all over the East Coast, hopefully all over the country, all over the world. But yeah, I've got all this space at the new shop, and I want to put it to good use in celebration of 25 years. So I'm real excited about that. I'm real excited to, bring you updates as we move forward. But right now, I'm telling you, it's going to be around the time of Pagoda. It's going to be at Alley Cat Tattoo, and it's called the Shenandoah Rose. And man, I'm real excited. One of the main things I want to try to do is get it in before the students return or right before classes start. But yeah, it's exciting, and anyone that's has any questions or any interest in it, I don't necessarily have the answers yet, but I will. I promise I will. So yeah, man, that's about it. I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday. I'm so fortunate to have this day off with my family, and I appreciate each and every one of you folks that listen to this show on a regular basis, and the folks who are checking it out for the first time. I really appreciate that as well. If you can, I hate to keep asking this, but if my Instagram followers and the downloads of this were to match the subscribers on the new No Lies Just BS YouTube page, I'd be doing something. So if you haven't already, please go to No Lies Just BS on YouTube and click subscribe and check out. We're doing some videos, just chronicles of, stories from my life. There's a shop talk program with myself and Chris Porter and Andrew Connor, and some cooking videos here and there, which I've got more. I've got a whole season of that written. I'm getting ready to start it off soon. So yeah, man, check it out, and please just do all the stuff that you do for all these big hotshot celebrities and all the people that you follow. Treat me like I'm one of them and do us a solid. So thank you all for tuning in as always. And here it is, episode 382, Dean Flashman. I wasn't going.
Well, we can say,
Bro, I can't tell you if I've ever done that before.
No.
At 400 of these, I raced one by accident.
Oh no.
And my battery died and I lost 20 minutes of one.
Fuck.
But we did about 3 minutes for nothing.
Well, we can start over.
Of course we can. So where are you from originally?
I'm from Sandwich, New Hampshire.
Sandwich, New Hampshire. What's up with the name? You know?
I wish I knew.
Do your people still live there?
I have family there, yes. I'm actually going to go there at the end of the month to visit my 94-year-old grandmother.
Hell
With
yeah.
my daughter. We do a little daddy-daughter trip.
That's dope. How old's your daughter?
She's 7. I also have a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl.
Ooh, you're a busy fella.
Very busy.
Yeah, you got a good woman.
I do. She's holding it down right now.
Yeah, bro, she
Shit.
sure is.
Oh my
With
god.
3 of them. I have a 14-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl, and while their attitudes get worse, the need of you to take care of them gets easier. You know what I'm saying?
My 7-year-old's like the 3rd parent at this point already. She's amazing.
That's dope.
But yeah, no, I haven't been back there in about 5 years since my grandpa passed. And I spent the first 5 years of my life there. My parents had a little farm.
Yeah.
Are
they still farmers?
No, not at all.
No.
But that was kind of the phase they were in when they had me. I was a whoops baby, right out of college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they met playing music in a band in college, and then, my dad says that I was the best mistake they ever made. I had a sister born 2.5 years later, and we lived there, up until the beginning of the 90s, and then we moved to Portland, Maine.
Okay.
And I was in Portland, Maine for almost 5 years. And then our house, the apartment, we had a 2nd-story flat right across from the elementary school that we went to, and it burned to the ground one night.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you weren't there?
No, we were in the house. I remember my mom waking me up,
So you're
not
like-
being able to see my hand in front of my face because all the smoke. And she was like, get your boots, get your jacket, because it's winter in Maine.
Yeah.
She's like, there's a fire. So I got my boots and my jacket on. We had a family friend visiting from England staying with us, and because my parents still played music, they had a big, extended Ford van
Right.
that they gigged out of, and we all went down to the van, turned on the heater, and watched the building burn to the ground.
Damn. Was it sad or grateful that you got out, or a mix of both?
Definitely, I was 9 years old, so it was shocking. But I think that for my parents, I'm sure it was super traumatic. Only a dog died, which is a sweet pit bull, it's the sweetest dog. So that was the only real tragedy. The landlord was a total fucking slumlord. And it was one of those things, my dad was a carpenter at the time. So he would do stuff and take it off the rent and be like, I'm doing this, and you're paying me for it because this needs to get done. It's like a safety hazard or whatever. But the convenient thing was that my parents had already gotten sick of the winter in New England, and they wanted to move out to the West Coast. They wanted to explore the music scene out on the West Coast. We had a friend in Santa Barbara, California, who had convinced them to move there as a point of contact. He's like, it's closer to LA, but it's not LA.
Yeah.
You could still play music, all this stuff. So we lived in a hotel for a month, and then we crashed with friends for another month. But most of our stuff was already in transit or in storage, getting ready to move. So we didn't really lose a lot. And
did they get their instruments out?
yeah, Yeah, there's some stuff we lost to like smoke damage and the fire and stuff like that, but for my sister and I, not only, so we made that move, we drove cross country in that van, stopped a few times along the way, but when we were in Arizona, my grandparents, now just my grandma, 95-year-old grandma lives there, they got a call from the landlord in Santa Barbara saying that the El Nino floods at the time had flooded the house they rented, signed a lease on, and it was condemned. So we lived out of the van for the first couple months that we lived in Santa Barbara.
Wow.
So from the fire to the flood.
That's really a test on everyone's nerves.
I mean, my parents for sure. For my sister and I, like I said, it was like 9 and 7.
Yeah,
we were like, we get to eat McDonald's again for breakfast today, and they're like, we thought it was like camping for us,
Yeah. So I'm interested. You've said enough times that they played music. Were they like playing at the house all the time, having musicians over?
Yeah.
Or they doing
What
was it like growing up in that environment?
It was funky for sure.
Music's a huge part of my life.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we grew up around music. I would help, when I was older, I was helping my parents load in, load out, set stuff up. I would go to gigs, try and, find half-drank beers and stuff, me and my sister, or friends.
And so it was kind of like rock and roll funk?
Oh, yeah, they would play gigs at the house. They were a cover band for years. So they always had, like that bohemian kind of lifestyle for a while.
Dope.
Yeah.
Do you and your sister play music?
I played music. I played in bands for years, mostly in like high school and college. Drummed, sang, mostly like hard rock and metal.
Did your parents play?
What?
What instruments did they play?
My mom played keys and sang, and my dad played bass.
And they still play?
No, my mom will still get down every once in a while. My dad, I'm sure he would love to, but he can't play like physically anymore right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's you seeing people, how much music enriches people's lives. Like, I never played an instrument. My wife doesn't play an instrument. I tried to get my children to, and they just rejected it.
Yeah.
I bought them stuff. I tried to encourage lessons and stuff. They just rejected it. But I have very close friends who have just led a much richer, more interesting, fun life because of music.
I mean, playing music together with people, playing live with an audience or on a stage, performing there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like one of those things that is just like untangible. You can't compare it to
size. If it's a good musicians and there's a good energy in the room, the right people, and a good buzz, it could be incredible. It could be moving.
I mean, think about like a wedding reception with a live band compared to an iPod.
Yeah.
Like a Spotify DJ.
Thing.
iPod.
It's a whole different thing. I love that shit. But where are your parents from?
My parents are both from New England originally. I'm half Filipino, so my grandparents on my mom's side were first-generation immigrants from Manila in the 60s. They landed in New York. Eventually they moved out to Long Island. And my dad he was born in Mass, and his parents were teachers, so they kind of bopped all around New England growing up, but they eventually settled in New Hampshire, the town that I was born in.
You're very tall to have Filipino heritage.
I got a giant white dad and a little Filipino mom.
I've not seen many big Filipino people. Your dad's a huge guy too?
He's probably shrinking now, but he's 6'3", and my mom's 5'2".
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sound like fun people, man.
They are good people. They, they're not together anymore, so they split about 7 years ago, and so it's interesting being a child of divorce as an adult.
Yeah. And not just an adult, but an adult with your own.
Yeah, my own shit going on, my own family. Yeah, for sure. But they both, I still have great relationships for the most part with both of them. We've definitely had our ups and downs, but I mean, I talk to my mom a lot.
Can they get along? They just can't get together?
Yeah, we actually spent Christmas together a couple years ago, and I think it was the first time that they had been together, or I had seen them together since maybe my wedding.
I feel like people that divorce of a certain age, if you've been married for 20 years or more, like there's less of a bitterness. There's just more of a, we can't do this,
Yeah, I mean, I always say that it's like the problems that they had that ultimately led to the decline was like my dad couldn't get with it, and my mom couldn't stick with it,
Yeah.
And after long enough, and being an adult, you know, for a while you're like, yeah, make it work. You want to hang on, and then at the end you're just like, yeah, you guys fucking call it, you know? Like, it's
well,
not,
you can't even begin to understand your child.
Oh,
But when
100%.
you're an adult, you kind of sympathize with either one of them, both of them.
Yeah, and then it got to that point being an adult where you're exposed to a lot more. It's not like mommy and daddy are sleeping in different houses right now,
Right,
you know,
right.
like, and that shit can end up shaping you as an adult, like from childhood into adulthood. But we got exposed to a little more of the detail than I think my sister and I would have liked to, and at a certain point had to draw lines in the sand to be like, this is your shit. We don't need to know all the fucking gory details.
Yeah.
Because it's like you talk to mom, you get pissed at dad. You talk to dad, you get pissed at mom, and then it's just like it's all bad.
And you don't have a choice in any of it, so you probably just want to stay the fuck out.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. And like I said, that was right around when my first child was being born. So I was just like, I've got something going on. I'm trying to bring this child into the world with like love and positivity, and like I'm not trying to have all this drama right now. So
Yeah. Good for you, man. Sometimes I learned as an adult, sometimes you have to draw lines even if it's with your parents. You can't accept certain things from anybody, whether it be your sibling, your parent, anybody. Sometimes you have to draw lines with people that are closest to you.
oh yeah,
That's the way it works.
yeah, that's family.
Yeah. All right, so you end up landed in Santa Barbara. Is that where you kind of grow up?
So yeah, I did.
Like, you know, when I say grow up, you're 10 or 12 there.
Yeah, it was a big adjustment in the beginning. You know, I went from being the only, like, you know, token kind of Asian kid in town, me and my sister, and then one other kid who had a Korean mom, to being in an elementary school that was primarily Hispanic, and kids running around chasing me saying Chino Japonés, you know, and I'm like, I'm not Chinese or Japanese, you know, kids are brutal, but
Yeah,
I'm Filipino, so I felt like from the beginning I always felt othered.
Yeah.
And then so I almost feel like I identify more with the Filipino half of my family and like that heritage, just because I've never been on one side of the fence.
No one's ever. You've never been white.
Right. Well, then I went to the Philippines for the first time, and you're like, I'm not Filipino either. You know, like they're not gonna take me in. Like, you know, they are, because the Filipinos are like one of the most warm cultures, like
Sure.
hospitable cultures in the world. But
This might be a crazy thing to say. So if it needs to be stricken, it can be stricken. Mexicans and Puerto Ricans think all Asians are Chinese.
oh, I mean,
They think they're all Chinese. Like my Puerto Rican friends, no matter Korean, Japanese, no matter, they call them Chinese.
yeah, for sure.
Always.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like, stereotypes are based on reality. Stereotypes don't become stereotypes because they aren't prevalent
Yeah.
things that exist. And like, you know, the whole thing, like people all look the same or whatever, you know, like,
Sure.
and Asians are some of the most racist motherfuckers that are out there, you know, and racist to each other.
No one's-
you know, within.
You ever hear Bobby Lee talk about his parents,
yeah,
describing the hierarchy?
Oh my God, it's insane.
Right.
But yeah, I think that I had always, you know, it was a little bit of an adjustment when we moved to California. I was able to, you know, make some friends, but also just like, you know, culturally different, where it was like everybody's into skateboarding and surfing, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff that's going around then in the 90s, but just trying to figure it out. Like, you want to do what your friends are doing, you want to do what everybody's doing, and then so it's like, you know, I was like rolling to school. By middle school, I was like, my best friend would come over, we'd iron our t-shirts, our lowrider t-shirts, press our dickies, put the comb down the center with a little starch so it had the crease, you know, wear our Adidas, and I was like fucking trying to be a cholo or something. Yeah, I mean, because that was the way that I fit in at the time.
Sure.
And then when I realized that the kids that I was hanging out with weren't accepting me and were trashing on me, I was like, well, fuck this. And then I was like a skater kid for a while and hanging out with all the skater kids. And I think that one of the things that, for me, like, you know, you meet tattooers who are like punks or skaters or whatever they had going on before, musicians, you know, and then they become a tattooer, and tattooing is so consuming as an identity.
Sure.
And then,
Especially if you want to be
but they
gay.
still have that. Some of them still have that, and I think that tattooing for me was the first like kind of subculture that I fully ascribed to. As
Like-
soon as I wanted, like,
You
was trying to get
identify as
in,
a
I was
tattoo,
just
right?
like, yeah, exactly, you know, like
That's tough though. So how'd you land that situation?
I had become like tattooing.
Yeah, like, well, did you always draw? Did you first get tattooed?
Having kind of like bohemian hippie parents, musicians. My mom is also an artist. She does like installation art, a bunch of identity and heritage based installation art, really sculptural stuff. She does really cool shit.
And also, just to pause just a minute.
Yeah.
Were you able to find pockets of Filipinos in California?
Not in Santa Barbara.
Not in Santa Barbara.
Not really. I mean, in San Diego, there's tons of them, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And as I grew older, I feel like I find more and more. But San Diego is like, you know, there's an area called Mira Mesa. We call it Mira Manila. You know, like there's tons of Filipinos in San Diego. And so I feel like that's also just one of those things where my Filipino side of the family, it's like we're making my grandparents, my Lolo and Lola, were telling me stories about our family back in the Philippines. They have these crazy photo albums that they've kept over the years. They brought a bunch of stuff, you know, just like wooden sculptures and fans and, you know, just like things that we would make Filipino food, you know, and stuff like that. Whereas like my American side of the family is like, there's not really as a cultural identity like that.
Sure.
It's not just like more homogenized America.
Especially if you're regular, like unless you have like your dad's parents were Italian or Irish or something very specific. But if you're just a white guy,
yeah, I mean my last name is Flashman, which is German, but it's like Flashman is what most of my family would tell people. Just like if somebody's like taking your name and it is informal, it's like you're not gonna fuck up Flashman. Flashman, people are like Flashman, you know, like they fuck it up. And it's funny because a nickname is Flash. Everybody calls my dad. Yeah, Fleischer is a Fleischer is a butcher, if I'm not mistaken, but Fleischman is supposed to mean like meat man, like a seller or a vendor or something like that. But a super common family nickname on that side is Flash. Like everybody knows my dad is Flash. You go to a family reunion, you say Flash, men and women will like turn their heads, you know, like Flash Fleischman. So
it's not a bad nickname.
No, especially in tattooing, you know.
Yeah. But my brother married a German girl, and that's how I know what Fleisch means.
Okay.
But Schwartz is black in German.
Right.
That's our last name.
Yeah. And I mean, but that side of the family, that heritage is much more like obfuscated, where it's like I know stories, I know a few things here and there, but it's not like super laid out like it is on the Filipino side.
Yeah, my last name is Schwartz, and that means black in German. But I know that because of my sister-in-law and my grandparents and their parents, and nobody that I ever knew talked anything about German heritage at all. It just didn't happen.
But I mean, as far as tattooing, my parents, you know, creativity, creative expression, and activities were always welcome and supported, encouraged in the house. You know,
right?
Always artistic stuff to do for my sister and I. I drew from a pretty young age. I got into comic books. There's now, you know, it's like a chain, but Newberry Comics in Maine was like where I would go to. I don't remember, like I would go without my parents, like, you know, 8-9 years old, go down to the comic book store, get comic books, draw everything I could from those, watch a ton of cartoons, you know.
My older brother's that way.
But so for tattooing specifically, my original mentor is Marcus Kuhn.
Yeah.
And so
I didn't know that until yesterday, Crystal.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he used to work in Maine. He's in Bath, England now, but he and my dad met. He gave my dad his first tattoo, and they met because they were walking their dogs on the street. They passed each other. Full back piece. At 30 years old, his first tattoo is a full back piece. So both my parents went to Amherst College in Amherst, Massachusetts, and my dad studied a lot of Buddhism, and he studied under Robert Thurman, who was the interpreter for the 14th Dalai Lama, and also the father of Uma Thurman, the actress.
Okay.
So my dad studied under him. When my parents got married, Bob Thurman gave my dad a print of 2 bodhisattvas in a love embrace. You know, in a giant lotus with skeletons in a tantric pose on the bottom. And he's walking his dog, runs into Marcus on the street in Maine, Portland, Maine, walking his dog, makes some small talk. He's like, hey, nice tattoos. He's like, oh yeah, do you have any tattoos? He's like, no, but I've been thinking about getting one, you know? And he's like, well, do you know who you're gonna get it from? He's like, well, I heard about this guy in town named Marcus. And he's like, I'm Marcus. So
That's so crazy.
Yeah, they meet just on the street.
Yeah.
He sets it up. He gets his full back done. Marcus had a studio at the time called Blue Iguana. It's like an upstairs apartment that he had turned into a shop. And like I said, it's the 90s. So there were times when my dad, like, you know, the babysitter's not coming through, like, whatever. Be like, I gotta bring Dean with me if I'm gonna get tattooed today. He'd be like, well, fucking do it. If it's that or not tattooing you,
Yeah.
bring him through. Just don't let him break nothing.
And was it pretty regular for you? You would just go with your dad, and he'd be like, hey, hang out, draw.
Yeah, I would hang out at Marcus's shop. He had a back room at the time. Really cool open room with a lot of light. He had a whole wall with vintage 80s toys, like mostly Star Wars and stuff that I immediately, like, that was the first thing I always wanted to play with those, but I couldn't. But so I would sit in the main area of the shop and I was just going through books because I was already like looking at comics, and then I'm like going through these books being like, oh, there's fucking titties in this book. There's like a Polynesian tribal book where I remember seeing a dude's dick split in half, like right down the middle and stretched with like bones on the tip of either end, and just like shit like that was just blowing my fucking mind.
But no one is probably explaining it to you either. You're probably just sitting there.
I'm just there. And then so I had been exposed at a very early age. As soon as my dad got a tattoo, I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
I wanted one.
Yeah.
You know. Then fast forward to us in California. Marcus had been moving around. You know, he's got his own history in tattooing, but when he was coming around, he would tattoo at shops in town. Sometimes he would post up and tattoo in our house, which my mom didn't like very much, but it happened.
Did she like him? Did they get along?
Towards the end, no.
She just didn't like the scene, I guess.
Not as much the scene, but I don't think that Marcus was necessarily the most gracious house guest at times.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where she was just like, it wasn't as much she cared about all the antics, the activity. It was just like, I don't want I don't want this person staying in our house. Not a good guest.
Bad house guest is the worst.
Yeah, you can't fuck up like that.
Yeah.
But so, my dad kept getting tattooed. You know, he was getting sleeves, he was getting chest piece done.
I was not expecting
He's getting tattooed.
Wow.
And
from like a notably.
Yeah, he struck gold first thing. You know, like
right, but on the street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Serendipitous, for sure.
I know that your buddies and everybody knows this, but me hearing it for the first time, it's just wild.
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe you introduced Marcus to your dad, but I never would have thought your dad was getting fucking torso done.
Yeah.
While you're a little kid and this Marcus is doing it in your house. It's wild. It's
so I always wanted tattoos. And then playing football in high school, there was a guy on our team who's, I think it was his cousin, was doing house tats, you know, and he was doing all the shit you'd expect. Tummy rockers, your name in script or Old English down your forearm. And so I wanted a tattoo. I was like, I'm going to get a fucking tattoo. My buddy got a tattoo. I'm like, I'm going to get a fucking tattoo. And I told my dad. My dad told Marcus. So one time I'm hanging out at the shop. It was either obscurities or other. We're all about 15, maybe 16. And they take a break. And Marcus is like, hey, your dad tells me you want to get a tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I know this guy and his stuff looks pretty good. So, yeah, I was thinking about it. Oh, I mean, looking back on it now, absolutely. And then at that age, like, you don't know what you want. You don't know what you like.
You don't know what you're looking at.
The coolest thing I could have gotten at that age would be like a fucking Volcom Stone or like a Blink 182 bunny or some dumb shit. But so he's like, promise me you'll wait till you're 18. And if you let me give you your first tattoo, I promise you it'll be a fucking badass first tattoo. And what am I gonna say? He's a tattooed head to toe, like biker looking guy and tattooer, and I'm just like, I'm be like, fuck you, you know, like I was just like, yes sir, I promise, you know, like. So I promised Marcus I would wait, and I did, and then I had more time, obviously, to think about it, and I was still drawing, so you know, I didn't do the faux pas of like drawing out this elaborate thing and being like, I want you to tattoo this on me for my first tattoo. I was just like, this is like my idea. If you could turn it into some kind of tattoo, that'd be rad. So he gave me my first tattoo at 18. It was a gift from my dad. And I have photos. One of my friends showed up and took some photos. He's still a photographer now. So it was like one of the best, you know, it's like it's not the best photo, but it's like, you know, it hasn't aged poorly. It's not like one of those fucking pixelated photos that you see now that everything looks like fucking potatoes or something.
Is your dad with you too?
Yep, my dad was there the whole time. My mom stopped in at some point. You know, I had friends stopping by because I was.
So your mom was down?
Yeah, mom. She wasn't gonna stop me. You know, she knew it was gonna happen no matter what. Yeah. So I was also, you know, my birthday's in December, so I was like slightly older for my year in school always, and so I was one of the first fucking kids in my high school. I was like one of 3 kids in a fucking 1,500
and you're already
person school with a tattoo, with like a half sleeve basically. This is like my first tattoo that Marcus gave me.
Cool as fuck, bro.
Right?
That's real dope.
And so it's, I mean, for how old, 30, for a 17-year-old tattoo or whatever, like 18-year-old tattoo, I think it's fucking great.
Well, it's just not some bullshit.
Right.
It's a skull.
Totally.
How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. And so I felt like, you know, I had made some good decisions. I got my second tattoo from Marcus. I got the other top of my arm done. I think my freshman year of college, I went up to UC Santa Cruz. It wasn't like necessarily an expectation in my family that I go to college, but I did. It was the only school I got into, and so I was just like, I'm gonna do it. They're like, do you want to tour the school? I'm like, it's the only one. Like, I'm going. You know, like I don't even need to go there. And luckily, I mean, Santa Cruz is a super fucking cool city.
Yeah.
It's also a hippie college. You know, especially it's surrounded by redwoods. It's like the kind of school that like builds the road around the tree instead of fucking chopping down the tree and building the road.
A lot of weed.
Oh fuck, dude. Oh man, I was puffing tough when I was up there. I smoked weed. You know, I started smoking weed. The first time I smoked weed I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I was really young too.
And I know, like looking back on it now, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? And I figured it out with my best friend at the time. We got some fucking high-tech mech, like some just dogweed shit, and we made a little bong. I don't even know how we figured this out, but we made a bong with a mechanical pencil and a plastic Coke bottle and some tinfoil, and we fucking figured it out. I don't even think we probably got high, but like tried it a few times.
Were your parents?
I knew my parents smoked weed. My parents had to tell my sister and I that they smoked weed maybe when I was like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, it was like the second time we'd found the bong in the house in a week, and they were sick of being like, it's a vase, it's a sculpture, you know, like, so they eventually told us. I was doing DARE. This is when they were doing DARE in schools in California. So immediately my sister and I were just like, you're drug addicts, you're fucking gangbangers, you know, like we were like brainwashed by like the fucking DARE program. And then, you know, in like a month we're like, oh, cool.
It's hard to get it when you're a kid, but hearing that as a parent myself, it makes me go, oh, well, Dean's parents trusted him and his sister.
Yeah.
They said, rather than lie to you, we're just going to be honest with you. This doesn't define us, but it's something we do recreationally, and, you know,
100%.
Everyone's got a different opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, they were those parents in high school where they're like, we know you're going to do this, so just be honest with us about it. You'll never get in trouble. We'll never be mad at you, but we would rather have you tell us, be honest, than fucking lie about it and get into more trouble because of that. And then my house in high school became like the safe space for like a lot of my friends when we're like experimenting, starting to drink and fucking smoke weed for the first time, where it was like my friends would get super drunk or something and then crash at my parents' house instead of like we'd go to a friend's house and we'd have to like hose each other down with Febreze and change our hoodies and like fucking put drops in our eyes before we went in and then act all awkward at the dinner table because that shit was not gonna fly. Yeah. So that was cool. I smoked a little bit of weed, you know, I liked it. And then when I went to Santa Cruz, it was just fucking game on. And that was, oh shit, it was.
So let me ask you a question about your dad. Knowing what you know now as a tattooer, would you say your dad is a tattoo guy, or is he a guy who got tattoos? Like, does he still get tattooed? Have you tattooed him? Is he like...
So I've tattooed him up quite a few times at this point.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know the difference?
No. He's a tattoo guy. He was definitely more of a tattoo guy. I think he also got spoiled by Marcus because Marcus would stay with him and like fucking do tattoos at the house and hook up my dad. And then so my dad got tattooed by a couple other artists, but it also wasn't the same caliber that Marcus of tattooing that Marcus was doing at the time. So he pretty much stuck with Marcus once he realized that. Like, you know, he played the field a little bit and was like, this is my guy. Yeah. And then eventually Marcus and my dad had a falling out, and my family, you know, like my parents at least. And, you know, when he wasn't welcome around, if he was like working in town, he took it a little personally, you know, There were feelings involved. And, you know, my dad didn't get tattooed for a while, but as soon as I started tattooing, he's like, every time, he lives in Austin, Texas now, and he always wants me to tattoo him, you know, and he's got some fucking wild ideas for tattoos, but he'll let me do whatever I want.
You can do them, right?
Yeah, I can do them, but he also is like down to do whatever I want to do. It's been a few years now. It's probably been 5 or 6 years since I've tattooed him at this point, but no, he's definitely a tattoo guy, and he, you know, like my parents, as far as like artistically, they're cultured, they're well read. My mom has none.
Yeah.
She always talks about it, but I think that maybe like the Filipino guilt, that side of her is like she's waiting for my Lola to die or something so that she can like get one and not move. When my Lola found out I got my first tattoo, she was fucking pissed at first.
Really?
Yeah, like that, like.
Is it a religious thing? Or
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Heavy Catholicism, Filipinos. You know, it's just like you've sinned against God, you've disgraced your body, all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, you
and
know,
people
like.
that are like hardcore about it are upset because you're going to hell.
Well,
That's but they think
they're right, and so that not only did that lead to the thing where like, you know, this first tattoo is Buddhist inspired. My dad was heavily into Buddhism. I studied a bit of it myself and was into it at the time, and I was like, well, it doesn't matter because if any religion resonates the most with me, anyways, it's Buddhism. It's not Catholicism, and that was a whole new fucking thing she was mad at me about.
But could you imagine if you thought that something she did was going to cause her to be in a fiery pit for eternity? You'd be upset.
Totally, yes, 100%.
She believes that.
100%.
That's a wild thing that she believes.
She got over it, you know. She's actually like, she's amazing. She's 95. She follows me on Instagram. She'll comment on my posts with emojis and shit. Where she's just like, I like the flowers in this one, you know. And you're like, thank you, you know.
Dope.
Yeah, it's cool. And she, after she like, you know, was retired and settled down, she started painting and doing art too. And she's prolific.
Really?
But when she was like in her prime, there was one year where she made like 60 paintings or something.
Wow.
And you go to the house and it's like covered in her paintings.
That's pretty
And
dope.
I got a few now. Like everybody in the family has a few, and it's fucking cool.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine's grandfather was a painter by trade. Like he did paintings for a living. That concept is insane.
Oh, dude, fuck that.
You know what I mean? Like, there's such a small pool of motherfuckers that can get away with that. That can say I paint for a living.
Or photography, like a professional
Timothy could do it.
photographer.
Like Timothy Hoyer could say I paint for a living.
100%.
But this guy was doing weird, you know, not abstract, but
Impressionist
loose,
stuff or
loose
something.
Shit.
Yeah.
Just loose. You know, it might be a fucking, a couple, villas next to some water and a boat or whatever. But it was like super loose. But man, he sold paintings like crazy.
So at first when I started at Santa Cruz, I was a film major because I did some film in high school.
Yeah.
And I was all about it. I just wanted to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then I crushed through all my GEs freshman and sophomore year. And I remember at the end of one of the quarters, one of the upperclassmen being like, hey, you're getting through all these GEs, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to take these advanced courses. I'm trying to like get my hands dirty. And they're like, you still won't be able to touch a camera for another year at least. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I grinding and like working my ass off to try and get somewhere where like this system is like not gonna allow me? And UC Santa Cruz is where Quentin Tarantino went to college too.
Oh shit.
So in Pulp Fiction, when Samuel L. Jackson and they're getting hosed down after they shoot Mark's head off, he's wearing a Banana Slugs, which is the mascot of UC Santa Cruz. He's wearing a Banana Slugs shirt. And so there's a ton of kids at that time also who went to Santa Cruz to go to the film school there because Quentin Tarantino did it.
Gotcha.
But the film school is not set up at the time. Like now they've got a pretty, from what I understand.
He probably donates to the program.
Probably. But so at the time I was just like, fuck, I was super, super just like demoralized by the whole thing. And then I think it was the end of spring break, because that was, the end of that spring quarter. We had spring break. I came back. I was living off campus with a bunch of friends. We did a fuckload of mushrooms one night and tried to convince ourselves that we weren't robots and we never wanted to be robots. But during that trip, I was like, I'm going to be an art major and I'm going to pursue tattooing. Like, because I already had it in my mind that like tattooing, through Marcus, I had seen, I'm like, if this will allow me to be creative, to travel and make a decent living for myself, like I can't ask for anything else.
Sure.
And so after that, beginning of the next quarter, I went straight to whatever my advisor's office and switched to an art major, fine art major. But when I was a fine art major, I had a minor in drawing, and my emphasis was actually in photography. Because I always wanted to do darkroom photography. It never had access to those kind of facilities. They had a great program, and I just did analog photography. I ran a color lab. I did a bunch of stuff that way, and it was great. And I still took oil painting and sculpture and a bunch of drawing classes and stuff like that. But so I basically did what I had to do to get my BA, and I think it was the spring break, so 2 years later, before I was about my last quarter of school, I flew to Maine. I bought a ticket to Maine, visited Marcus at his studio at the time, which was in a town called Bowdoin, Maine, in this old brick factory, super cool. And I brought a portfolio, and I told him, I wrote him an email.
Drawings, paintings,
drawings and paintings. And I had written him an email being like, I'm serious. I want to apprentice. I want it to be you. And he's like, I'm done. Hannah Sandstrom, she's an artist. She was supposed to be Marcus's last apprentice. And he's like, I said I was done having apprentices, but you're family to me, and I would apprentice you if it works out. So I bought a ticket to Maine. I brought my portfolio out there. I stayed with him a couple nights. He went over my portfolio. He broke things down for me, humbled me for sure.
Yeah.
But he was like, I see it.
Were you proud? Check this out?
I was proud. And of course,
young man.
Yeah. Looking back on it now, it's just I was like, there's definitely some merit to it there for sure, but it's funny. I still have it in a flat file in my house. I look at it every once in a while and have a laugh. But he was like, we can do this.
Yeah.
You're gonna move to Maine at the end of the summer. You're gonna be my apprentice. This is gonna be hard. He didn't bullshit it at all. He's like, I'm gonna be really hard on you. You're gonna have to work really fucking hard. This is not gonna be some glamorous thing. And he's like, you're gonna have to figure out, do you have money saved, or you're gonna have to get a job, what's up? And I'm like, I'm saving money, but I'll also work, I'll do whatever it takes. So basically a handshake agreement. I was gonna be his apprentice when I left Maine on that trip. I finished school, and during the course of my last quarter at school, Marcus went through a horrible divorce. Just very, very dramatic, very abrupt thing.
Sure.
And, I'm in touch with him, and he was like, it was on, it was off, it's a good time, it's not a good time, maybe this is the best time to do it, maybe we should hold off. And then eventually I could just tell, I called it, and I was like, you're fucked up right now, this is not a good time in your life to have me as an apprentice. And he's like, you can still send me drawings and paintings, I'll critique them, but he was going through a lot. I don't know if you've heard this story, but he also had a front helper at the shop in Maine. He had a shop called Just Good Tattoos in downtown Maine that went fucking crazy and murdered his ex-girlfriend. Whoa. Beheaded her. Ate parts of her. Raped her with a crucifix. And then burned the house down with her body in it. This is in the news.
He did go crazy.
And I had hung out with this guy. I went to the San Jose convention before it was SFO, and I was helping Marcus, and this guy fucking go get supplies and fucking work the booth and shit.
Did he seem wacky?
No, he didn't seem. He seemed as wacky as any of us are. An outsider.
I love when one of y'all admit to that.
Yeah, and we're all fucking maniacs.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that vibe from him.
Sure.
When I saw Hannah later, Hannah was like, that guy was always fucking off. I knew that guy was fucking bad news. She had the fucking vision. But for me, I was just didn't have enough exposure to him to pick up on that vibe.
Well, when something like that happens, it's where did he live? Where did he work? Were they bombarding Marcus?
Marcus got called, and they're like, you need to come to the police station right now. Yeah. And he's like, fuck you, why? Yeah. And they're just like, because you're on the list, and we believe you're in danger. And he's like, fuck you, why? And they're like, your boy is fucking gone fucking crazy. We can't tell you all the details, but you need to come to the station. And he did. and all this shit went down. And that was like a cataclysmic event. That when that went down, I was like, you got shit going on.
Yeah.
You know, like, whew, you're good, I'm good.
It's insane.
Yeah, it was wild.
I mean, a lot of people we know have wild lives. That is crazy.
And that's, I mean, this is just scratching the surface of Marcus.
Yeah.
And before I say anything else about Marcus, I will say that I have nothing but love and respect for Marcus. He has a checkered past. He has a very illustrious history within tattooing, and his character, I think, is just so strong that it's love him or hate him.
Sure.
And I still, when I tell people sometimes that he was my first mentor, I'm waiting for the day when somebody like swings on me or something, you know, like,
yeah.
I know people are like, fuck that guy forever.
Well,
and I know people were like, you know, he was loud, he has opinions, but I you know, have love for him or whatever. And so like, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'll probably get to that too without Marcus.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit where it's due in the sense that he was a formative part of my introduction to tattooing.
You know, people that he was in it so long before everything was so public, social media, not just knowledge being available on YouTube and all this different shit. You know, all I know of him is the Gypsy Gentleman thing.
Yeah.
That's all I know of him.
Right.
And he seemed smart, he seemed informed, and he seemed like he loved tattoos.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've judged him on. I've heard some crazy shit, but I don't know it.
Yeah.
So I don't pay attention to that shit.
Yeah.
People might tell you some shit about me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Marcus is a tattooer's tattooer.
Yeah.
And I think that nowadays, all of these things in tattooing are becoming so abstracted by modern day society that he doesn't have a place in modern day tattooing in the way that, and of course, like, obviously, like, if you go and you work at a shop and you stop doing conventions and guest spots and like traveling and socializing and, you know, like doing those sort of things, of course, like, I mean, we're seeing so much of that happen right now. But I think that he came up in like the golden age of tattooing, in a sense, and it shaped that, and the combination of his life experiences shaped who he was. And then I think he just has had a hard time. He just has been unwilling to adapt.
Plus, anybody that knows him through tattooing doesn't have the window into him that you have.
Sure.
You know him
100%.
when you were a boy all the way till now.
Yeah.
You know him the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen probably a calm, gentle side of him. You've had fucking breakfast with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
So he went to a Puerto Rican prison for a while.
Whoa!
And
I went down with a bro. Fuck.
Yeah.
But he looks rough.
I mean, he was strung out on heroin, and then he got busted, and then he tried to bribe the cops, and then
Right.
he ended up there for a while. And I remember seeing him for the first time when he got back, and being like,
dude?
there was an edge.
Scary dude?
There was an edge,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think that, you know, he had claimed that he was clean and he was on this new path and all this stuff.
Sure.
And he has a lot of very reflective and insightful things to say about his time there and how that changed, you know, his outlook and all kinds of things. But he was also an addict for so long that I feel like a lot of people who have a history of addiction have like these, and not just addicts, but, you know, you like have a default personality.
Yeah.
Or like when shit gets hard, when shit gets rough, when shit gets scary, when you're put into a corner, when you feel like you're in fight or flight or survival mode, people can default to certain type of characters that they have.
Certainly.
And so if you're an addict, you know, like if you're not using drugs, you're gonna find something to use.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you use people, you know, like there's all kinds of shit that can happen from that. So I have known a lot of different sides of Marcus throughout the years.
Yeah. And you know, there's these motherfuckers who say hate the addiction, not the, you know, hate the drugs, not the person, all those other things. I saw some lady on TV earlier telling this old man whose son OD'd, you know, I don't even know well, you obviously didn't have a good relationship with your son if you didn't talk to him but twice in a year before he died. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, lady, his kid didn't steal from you.
Yeah.
His kid didn't lie to you.
Yeah.
His kid didn't drop his kids off with you for an hour and then not come back for a week.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say hate the disease and not the fucking person.
Yeah.
But if that person's fucked you over 45 times,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%,
It's a hard, and that's no disrespect to Marcus or anybody else that's a junkie. But if I've got friends that are just drunk or no count.
Yeah.
And I would love them, but I gotta love them from over here, because if they fuck me over, then they fuck me over.
Yeah.
I have a very short, a number of times I'll put up with that.
I'm the same way. But so, like I said, trying to get back on track, the apprenticeship was off. I finished school. I moved back to Santa Barbara. I worked for the Santa Barbara Museum of Art as an educator. It had been a part-time job where I'd taught kids art and worked in there, done events and stuff like that on and off. And then when I moved back home, I just started doing that. And I thought that, it was nice to be doing something kind of in my field right out of school, which a lot of my friends who had, spent money, maybe gotten student debt, all this shit, and they were fucking still making coffee or doing whatever.
Sure.
I also got into a relationship. It was one of my first young romances at the time.
Right.
I was in love. And when that fell apart, I was just heartbroken and all emo about the shit, and I had an opportunity to move out to Austin, Texas. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna move to Austin. I got a couple friends there.
Plus,
I just need to get out. I don't want to live at home right now.
That's an art town.
They had offered me a full-time position at the museum, and I knew it was a trap. I didn't want to do it.
Right.
My mom worked at that museum for almost 30 years, and when she got out, it was a trap to her, and I was just I'm not doing this. So then I moved to Austin. When I was in Austin, I was an art teacher for a little while there. It was an easy gig to slide into. I worked at REI, the camping store, and then I was a bike mechanic there. I rode my bicycle everywhere. I was in a nasty car accident with my sister in Santa Cruz that we were lucky to walk away from, and I didn't ride in cars for a while. I didn't own a car for almost more than 5 years after that, because I just had fucking PTSD about the whole thing.
Hate driving. I have anxiety about it.
I mean, it happened in torrential downpour, and any time I was in a car and it was raining for years after that, I was white knuckling shit. My stomach was doing flips, and so I just rode my bicycle, and I was obsessed with it. I was a bike courier. I worked on bikes.
Bike guys get kind of crazy, like runners do too.
Oh, dude, yeah. And I mean, in Austin, when I moved there, it was still a cool town. The whole Keep Austin Weird thing, that was still a thing. Now it's just a techie fucking city. Yeah, dude. It's still cool. It's still got cool stuff about it. But it was magic then, I feel like, and it's changed a lot. And so I was doing, social rides and critical mass and alley cat races and shit, and it was great. And it was a community I could plug into right away. Yeah. But so I was just working. I was just fucking working. Eventually got a job at a bar too. I was doing bar back stuff, which was great because Austin was a party town and I was partying, and then I was service industry. So then it's already cheap to drink there, and then I'm barely paying anything to drink there, and you're known throughout a circuit of all these different bars and restaurants and getting hooked up and stuff. It was super fun.
You're a recognizable guy. You're tall.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also had my long hair at the time, so it's even more so. But I was just partying. I was having fun. Yeah. There's also, just so many amazing. The music scene is just fucking stupid out there. And having grown up with all that music, being able to pick and choose from so many shows, just Festival Chaos in Tejas, where you could see all these metal and hardcore bands, or Southwest, all this shit. I like all of it.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna just come to the shop and turn something on, it's probably gonna be hard rock, metal, stoner rock type stuff. But I'll put on the Lord of the Rings soundtrack or some weird shit, and people are like, "What are you fucking listening to today?" I like to change it up.
Yeah. Everybody around me is in metal.
I love country. I love the blues.
I like old.
I like electronic. Oh yeah.
That's metal to me because of the time I grew up.
Yeah, sure.
But I love bluegrass and honky tonk, and I love the band.
Yeah, dude.
Americana
music from Big
stuff.
Pink.
Yeah.
That album. My parents went and visited Big Pink and saw them play before.
I got Andrew did a portrait of Levon Helm with me the day.
Yeah.
He's my number one.
Oh, dude. Have you read This Wheels on Fire, his book?
So I don't know if I've read that
so
book,
good.
but I've bought copies for free.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a fantastic book. Yeah. But so, when I was out in Austin, I got hit up by Marcus to do, he told me to go to Rock of Ages. He told me to go to Jason Brooks at Great Wave. He was like, if you're going to get tattooed in town, this is where you go.
Me and Sam were talking
Steve Byrne, Tony Hundal, Jason Brooks, yeah, like all these guys, like he told me where to go.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was a dirtbag cyclist, and I would save up all my money and go to Rock of Ages and get a tattoo from Tony, and then be poor for a while, and then fucking work my ass off, save up all my money, get a tattoo from Steve, be poor for a while. Like Chad Keplinger would come through town, I'd get a tattoo from him, like whatever was happening. And eventually Marcus hit me up, and he's like, we're doing this thing called Gypsy Gentleman, and I know you have video experience, so like if you have any friends, like I need help shooting an episode in Austin.
Yeah.
So I helped him shoot in Austin, and another buddy of mine, Kevin Lindblad, and at that time the show was basically starting to get some serious funding from our friend Neil, and it took off, and the episode with Tony and Steve was great. I'd already gotten tattooed by them a couple times, so we were familiar. And after that, there was like, all right, there's a San Francisco episode. We're going to do Jason Condell and George Campese. Like, we can fly you out to San Francisco if you can help us with the filming. And I was like, okay, like, what do you need me to do? And eventually my position became logistics coordinator. So it was like Swiss Army Dean. I figured out all the logistics for all the shoots, and like when we were going here, what we were doing there. I was the liaison between a lot of the people we were filming, et cetera, along with the help from a team we had kind of built, but it was bare bones. It was scrappy. And they also ended up hiring on my friend Kevin, who had helped us in Austin because he also had photo and video experience, so he was an auxiliary cameraman. And it just took off. So it was like one of those things where the project was picking up speed.
It was the first of its kind.
Yeah, it was. It was a kind of like Anthony Bourdain travel show
but
with
nothing
tattooing.
Existed prior to that I'm aware of.
No, I don't think so either. And I think the Vice ones were the next ones to come
Tattoo
out.
Age, right?
Yeah, Tattoo Age, and not long after that.
Shouts to Chris Grosso.
Yeah, and they're amazing. I love this.
Great.
But so basically, we started doing that, and like I said, like I'd already been tattooed by Marcus. I had already been exposed to good tattooers through Marcus, and now I was like meeting tattooers,
wearing great tattoos,
and flying to London and meeting Valerie Vargas and going to Frith Street at the time and like shooting episodes with those guys. And so it was just like taking off. So we would shoot for a couple weeks, fly, and go to, we did one episode in Paris. We would like fly and do these shows, and then I would come back to Austin. I would work at the bar. I would wrench on bikes, get tattoos if I could afford it, and then we would go and fly and do another episode.
Did you feel? I mean, it's two different lives, first of all, but was your mind being blown? Like, okay, they're paying for my plane ticket, paying for me to stay somewhere.
Oh, I felt like hot shit. I was like, I was stoked. It was like I was getting paid to do stuff I would have paid to do. So I was. It was amazing. It was a great, very time in my life,
yeah.
and like I said, I would just come back to Austin and party, hang out, whatever. But I think that the dream for tattooing had never died, but doing Gypsy Gentleman definitely like lit a fire under my ass again. So then I'm like actively painting Flash. I'm going to the Austin Tattoo Convention when it's in town. I'm buying fucking tat rags and copying stuff. Because this was 2010. Yeah. There's still not Instagram yet until like 2011 or 12, I want to say. So like I was buying magazines and going to conventions and buying what I could afford as far as like flash sets or like prints and just like I said, just trying to figure out how to draw and paint.
Yeah.
And Marcus would help me with some stuff, but just as much as he could from afar via like email, really.
But were you saying, I'm pursuing tattooing, or you'd say, I want to be able to do a nice set of watercolor flash? Like, were you just trying to...
For me, it was more tattooing. I kind of jumped that step because I felt like my experience in art, having like gone to school, having done it for so long, like, I'm not going to say I thought I was there, but I thought I could do it. Like, I felt like I had enough, and that was the thing. So
what was keeping you from just buying machines and fucking... Okay.
So...
For those of you listening,
you're right on time. No, you're right on time. My uncle and my sister, he's not my blood uncle, but my uncle and my sister bought me a tattoo kit off eBay from a brand called Pirate Face. And it was like a China brand, and it was a little shitty metal shoebox suitcase that came.
Your Instagram name.
Pirate Face, yes. But it came with a power supply, 4 machines that were like anodized aluminum pot leaves, and a swooping guitar.
Sick.
I still have them. I don't even think they were around. They're insane.
I've seen them.
I want to make a shadow box with like all of them in there.
Yeah.
Fake skin with like a weird like Chinese menu looking dragon on it. And then pigments that were probably so fucking crusty that were just like Ronin red and geisha green and like all this shit. And it came with needles, it came with plastic tubes and tips, it came with rubber, it came with all the shit. And I had no fucking clue what to do with it. But they gave it to me at Christmas one year. They're like, we know you keep talking about this, we know you'll do great at it, so we're trying to help you get started. So I go back to Austin. I had just gotten tattooed, I think my foot tattooed by Tony Hundal, and I'm watching him set up his machine. Without him trying to know, I'm like hawking him. And then I go back home, and after, my foot it's done swelling and I can fucking walk again. It's an amazing tattoo. He did it in like fucking an hour. It's insane.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Shouts
But
to
so I figured out how to set them up, the machines, and I probably didn't like put a rubber band on. I'm sure I did it wrong. But I figured out how to get the machine to run where it didn't seem like, and the first thing I did was I tattooed "thank you" in all caps on the bottom of my foot, the sole of my foot.
Yeah.
And I took a picture because I had my first smartphone ever, like a Motorola Crazer. And, again, like, if I could find that photo, it probably looks like a bunch of potatoes now. But I sent that picture to my uncle and my sister and just "thank you," tattooed on my foot. And then in like a week, I'm like, it's gone. I walked it off. So I'm like, fucking practice canvas, baby. So I was just tattooing the bottoms of the soles of my feet for like a month. Just whatever.
I mean, like, the heel and the ball obviously probably didn't hurt at all.
Oh, it sucked. It all sucked. It all sucked. Especially the arches. But like,
yeah, the arches.
I'm like, not even, like I said, I was just trying to get comfortable in the machine. I wasn't like, I'm going to do a dragon head or like, I don't know, fucking whatever. I was literally doing the most basic stuff I could to just try and get comfortable with the tools and the process. Yeah. And I still didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I worked at a bar.
Did any part of you want to ask any of the guys that...
So I was scared to ask Marcus at this point.
What about
because I felt like I was going behind his back. Also scared to ask those guys. Because they were cool with me. They were letting me kind of shop rat where I was like, I could ask them certain questions. I could hang out. I would stop by the shop even if I didn't have money to get tattooed. I would just like, if I was in the neighborhood, I would stop by on my bike, hang out, and they'd let me hang out, for like half an hour, just watch them tattoo until I felt like maybe I was being a nuisance and I took off. But they were always super, super cool to me.
But how, in retrospect, aren't you glad that you knew 30 minutes was probably my max? Like, at our shop, motherfuckers that want to do that will always step over the line. They'll always try to, and we end up barking at them, and they think that we're hating on them. Like, no, that's just a way to do things.
Yeah. Well, I think that's still the whole adage of the fact that we have people come into the shop, like, you gotta basically get it to give it, and you can't, like, if you want to get into tattooing, like, you have to just start getting fucking tattooed. Because we still have apprentices or wannabes. If you want to get into tattooing, you have to get tattooed. You have to get a lot of tattoos.
But everything's about relationships, and that you have to get tattooed by people.
Well, that's the thing is, if a relationship forms, like a relationship was forming with Tony, Steve, and I, just being around the shop. I'm not going to say we're like fucking buds or anything, but like that was organic. It was evolving organically and slowly, as the way it should be. I wasn't trying to force my way in.
Yeah.
And it was obvious I was hungry. I'm sure it was fucking obvious. And I'm sure I asked some dumb fucking questions and probably made some like, rookie maneuvers. But I think that, like I said, I had the grace of having Marcus's name a little bit at that time still.
That's what I was saying.
Behind me.
You had nice tattoos and you had all this art background and you were working on a show about tattoos and you had a relationship with a well-known tattooer, all those things bump you to the front of the line if I'm considering letting my shop punch.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason I asked why you didn't ask Rock of Ages.
I still, like I said, I knew the set was shit, and I knew that I probably I knew that I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And Tony and Steve, you've met them. They're monsters. They're giant fucking men, and they're covered in tattoos. And I was intimidated. I'm like, I'm not.
Tony's like,
I'm like
scary dude around scary dudes.
Yeah, but he's also the fucking.
He's a very nice guy. He's very nice to me.
So like, you put all that together, and for me, I was just like, I already was like, felt like the ice I was treading on was thin, and I was afraid that would take it to another level, that I risked breaking that ice and falling through, where they're like, no, fuck this kid.
Good for you not doing it.
And so I worked at the bar, and it was just victims and volunteers. People would be like, oh, you're tattooing at your house? Like, well, I'll get one, you know? So I started tattooing people out of my house, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Tattooing them on the couch, tattooing them on the floor, tattooing them on the table, just figuring it out. I tattooed, I had a buddy from Santa Cruz who came through Austin. He's a fucking like hippie mushroom hunter, and he wanted some chanterelle mushrooms tattooed on him. And he's like, I want them on my ribs. And I'm like, I've never fucking tattooed ribs before. He's like, I want it. You can do it. I've seen your shit. Like, you got it. I've seen, you know, like, oh yeah. So I fucking have him lie down. I'm like, oh, I've seen him throw their arms up to get a stretch. So I have him throw his fucking thing up. I drew it on. I tattoo these mushrooms. Probably took me, you know, hours. It was only in black and gray. And then he's like, I'm like, we're done. And he's like sick. And he stands up, walked with his arm over his head, walks to the mirror in my bathroom. He's like, dude, it's so cool. It's so great. Walks away from the mirror, puts his arm down, and these fucking mushrooms turn into like toadstools. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Like, just like proof that I should not be doing this. You know, like, I was absolutely like, you're stoked, I'm stoked, yeah, thanks so much. Like, you got it. We did it. Yeah. And so, as far as that was concerned, like, I think that my background in art and my exposure to good tattooing, I never really bit off more than I could chew. It was all like palm-sized shit that I was either like, I was stenciling with a speed stick with the scrap suspense. I figured that out. Yeah. And I, you know, like, there's a bunch of random shit I figured out. I had bought some book. Oh, I wish I could remember the name and the author, but it was a book telling you how to tattoo. In 2010, I think I bought it on eBay as well, and it was telling you how to like double boil black drawing ink to make fucking good tattoo ink and like all this shit. I still have them. I haven't revisited them in a while, but I've been meaning to, just to see like how dated the material is and how on it is or how off it is.
There's a guy from our town, Harrisonburg, Virginia, who wrote A to Z tattooing or something like that.
And so I mean, that was the only thing I could get. And like I said, I remember some girl from the bar asking me to do a giant fucking Tibetan prayer in Sanskrit on her ribs, like her whole ribs. And I drew it up. I tried to talk her out of it. She just kept bugging me. I drew it up. I intentionally gave it this wavy flow and like dialed it in because I knew it was going to be around her ribs. And if it was just straight lines, that it would have been all fucked up.
Was this before or after the mushroom?
This is after the mushrooms. So I'm like, I'm progressing a little maybe, but eventually I just told her no, because I was like, I can't do this.
I was just wondering if you were gonna put this on her arm.
Yeah, no. So I just told her no because I was like, I'm gonna fuck this up and this is gonna be on me for life, and I just can't do your whole ribs. I'm sorry, I'm not there. And she was cool about it. She was bummed, but she was cool about it. And so, like I said, I'm doing that. I'm doing Gypsy Gentleman. Eventually Marcus finds out what I'm up to. And he's like, if you're fucking serious about this, move to San Diego. I'll finally apprentice you, and we can get you on the right path.
Yeah. Feeling all right?
Good. I fucking lost my voice last night, like just yapping. And I'm like
partying?
Well, the music's like so loud under the tent, and I'm like talking to people, and then I'm talking to Sam, and we're talking about doing this tomorrow, and he's like, you're kind of, and I'm like,
when I walked over, y'all, I felt like y'all clammed up for a little bit when I walked over. You and Sam.
Probably because we were talking about the podcast.
Right, he was talking about his experience, and you were probably asking questions.
And I didn't even realize it.
And him, more so than you, he just kind of was like, oh, hey. And I was like, that's why I moved on.
Okay, cool. Well, he had also we were talking about his dad who passed. Yeah. So it was also like kind of, maybe it was a personal thing too. Or like, yeah. It's just like going from something super heavy and personal to like.
Yes, absolutely. We talked about that a little bit, and I didn't want to go too far, but I was definitely interested in. I'm always interested in people's families.
Oh, I mean, I think that it can say a lot about you, where there's like people who like you could tell they come from this family, and then I have friends who are like some of the most amazing people in the world, and their parents are like shitty grifter, drug addict pieces of shit. And you're just like, how did you turn out to be such a good like person of integrity when you came from like this? So I don't think there's necessarily any rhyme or reason to it, but like the whole nature versus nurture thing. But basically, get back on track. I moved.
So Marcus says, bring your ass to San Diego.
Yeah.
And I'll make right on Old Promise.
Yes. I had already filmed the San Diego Tijuana episode of Gypsy Gentleman. We did that
so long ago, I don't remember them all. But
so that was with Bill
of
and Rob Benavides. And so we were in San Diego and we went down to a graveyard in Tijuana, and they got their inspiration from that for the tattoos and the drawings. But I met Bill for the first time there. And when I had met Bill, I mean, he was awesome.
Bill Canales, for folks listening.
Yes, Bill Canales, owner of Full Circle Tattoo.
Big dog.
Where I currently work. He's
big dog.
Yes, big
Dragon Slayer.
Legend. But so, basically, we're doing the wrap party for the Gypsy Gentleman San Diego episode at this place called The Station right down the road from the old shop. And Bill's like, hey, Bill, Marcus tells me that you're trying to tattoo. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I really want to. I'm like trying. And he's like, well, one day, maybe you can guest spot at the shop. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you, you know.
Before
like,
you even started?
Yeah. And we were just like, cool,
and
thanks, what's up, you know?
Well, I'm assuming Bill was already crushing it.
He was. It's funny because I recently like moved some stuff, like digitally stored some files and had the Gypsy Gentleman on one of my thumb drives, and I put it on a hard drive. So I just skipped through the fucking San Diego episode. It was fucking hilarious. Really? But it's crazy because, when we introduced an artist, there was a montage of their work, so you knew what they were about. And Bill's stuff was exquisite then, but it is beyond, so far beyond a decade later what it was. I mean, like leaps and bounds. Like it's just insane.
He's a different guy.
Oh yeah.
He's an exception to
But I mean, there are people not just within the shop, but other tattooers, who have worked with Bill and who work. Bill has said for the longest time, if I could just tattoo dragons all day, I'd be happy. Yeah. And he has manifested that for himself. Yeah. Where now he's got books, like he's master classes, like all of it.
Yeah.
And so Bill tells me, all that.
Did you know the gravity of that statement?
I mean, I was just, like I said, at that point, I didn't know the gravity of the statement. I don't look at it like I look at it now because of where I'm at. But at the time, It was a supreme honor. Yeah, like incredible. But at that time, that was also something where like you're meeting other tattooers, you're doing Gypsy Gentleman, and all of a sudden you're like in the club, So I was getting like, people being like, anytime you're in London, stop by 5th Street, or like whatever.
I got that through. No, that's just bullshit.
Okay.
Like I've been in the business forever.
Yeah.
And I knew a ton of people in the Southeast, for a very long time.
Yeah.
But once people liked what I do, I mean, just so many people being nice to me that I just were heroes of the town.
You're a nice guy, and you clearly now you have a body of work that is because it's a podcast and people can listen to you. They might feel like they know you more, but you are as advertised. Well, in my opinion,
what I'm doing now is what we're doing later.
I try and be the same way, but I think that is one of those things that also speaks to your character and your integrity.
Thank you very much. I definitely know what you mean when you're like, you're in the club now because Marcus brought you along and that bumps you up.
Sure.
And I had that in Southeast or East Coast tattooing through Andrew for many years, but when No Lies Just Bullshit took off, friends that I'd known for a long time were then going, let me introduce you to these guys.
Oh, yeah.
I know Will Lawley since 1998.
Right.
But he's like, Mike Rubidon wants to talk to you.
Right.
That's a different thing that
totally.
I wasn't used to.
But I think that, as an aside, tattooing is one of those things where it's very easy for somebody to seem on the level. Yeah. Initially. Like, oh, you've worked at this shop. Like, for tattoo artists specifically, like, oh, you worked at this shop, oh, you guested with this person, oh, you've got a tattoo from that guy, like all of a sudden, oh, we're cool.
Yeah.
but it all comes out in the wash. Where like that's
Right.
happened so many times where like somebody seems cool
And then that sucker.
and then they're a piece of shit, or like, you know, a fucking predator or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
But like everything, I believe that happens no matter what. It all comes out in the wash. But at the same time, I think that tattooing is like, you know, my wife has been with me since before we were tattooing, and she would go to conventions with me sometimes and stuff in the beginning, not so much now, but like she's like, it's crazy how you guys become friends so fast. And I'm like, well, we already like 75% of the same shit. We're all fucking maniacs and we're all obsessed with this thing of tattooing. And then if you have a conversation and you realize we like 85 to 95 of the same shit, it doesn't matter if I've only known you for a weekend, we're fucking like tribe. You know,
that's
like
how you and I became buddies.
Totally.
Andrew
100%.
introduced me
And
to
that's
you
why this is so special.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
And each year we just saw each other.
Yeah, totally.
And then we see each other outside, talk for an hour.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
every year, a little bit more. It's true.
And I've told Justin, I told him today, I was like, you have an incredible knack for curating the people who are here.
Yeah.
Because it feels, this is like tattoo summer camp. Like we're all getting back together for fucking one last hurrah. This is the only time, you know, like there'll be people fucking crying tomorrow night. You know, it's just like
Tonight.
probably, you know, like it feels like that. It feels momentous in that way where it's like, when am I ever gonna see you once a year? Now I gotta come to Alley Cat.
Yes, you did.
But thank you. I will. But
we might do something next year around this time, if you know what I'm saying. So
okay.
we'll talk about it.
I mean, I think also mini cons are like, what's up?
Well, my new shop is
Beautiful. Just from what I've seen, that thing, it's legendary looking.
So yeah, that's the.
But so, I moved to San Diego. Marcus had a dude who had been trying to apprentice with him. And that dude sublet me a room in his grandparents' house, which he also lived in. And it was funky. It's in Hillcrest, the neighborhood of San Diego, the Castro. Fucking cool-ass neighborhood. I moved there during Pride, not knowing the neighborhood I was moving into, not knowing it was Pride, and then walking to 7-Eleven one night to get like fucking probably some tobacco and wine. It was just like dudes fucking in the bushes right next to me.
Oh, shit.
And you're just like, what's up, you know?
And
they were like, no, they were literally like, stop staring or join in. And I'm like, whoa, you know, like what's happening? Go back to my house and there's like, oh fucking the neighbors are like all night long. And I'm like, where did I move? What happened?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is the neighborhood I live in, is Pride right now. Like, for sure, cool.
Yeah.
And so the neighborhood was cool. The room was fine. I literally had, there was a bed in the room, but I had a bicycle, a motorcycle, and my cat and my drawing supplies. And we quickly realized that fucking dude thought that we were going to apprentice together once I arrived, which was not the case. So I'm trying to get used to a new city. I'm riding my bike everywhere. I'm fucking taking my motorcycle to work. I had been working at REI, the camping store, and so I transferred to the San Diego store. I'm wrenching on bikes. That was the only place I really had to take my motorcycle to, besides like taking it on rides and exploring. But basically, shit got weird fast with that guy when he realized he wasn't part of that journey. And and like I said, the house was fucking weird. We had another roommate, and there was like this dark kitchen downstairs where like I said, I would go to the grocery store. I would buy some basic like fucking coffee, eggs, rice. I was like, you know, San Diego is a mecca for Mexican food.
Yeah.
So I found this place by the house where I could buy a burrito the size of a fucking newborn, and you could cut it in half, and I would either cut it with rice at night or cut it with eggs in the morning for breakfast, so that I could like make it into 2 or even 3 meals.
Yeah.
And I'm just like getting used to the city, trying to fucking be as you know, economical as possible.
Yeah.
But shit got weird fast, and there were rooms in that house with like his grandparents' shit in storage that you just didn't touch. It was like weird, dusty museum. I don't know where the fuck they were. I don't know what the deal was.
Okay.
I think they were alive, but I don't know. But it was fucking weird. And so as soon as he got weird, I got the fuck out, and I moved in with my friends Jordan Hatch and Gemma Pariente, who are also tattooers. And Gemma was a resident tattooer at Full Circle who I had met when I did Gypsy Gentleman. Jordan managed the shop at the time. He wasn't tattooing yet. And I moved in with them. They were married. They had a spare room at their house. They're like, hey, you can crash with us, until you land on your feet. I was like, you guys are good. Gemma's amazing tattooer, but also fiery Spanish girl and woman. And she's just like, they would have some fights sometimes where you'd be like, oh, fuck. You guys aren't talking to each other for like a week. This is crazy. But I was like, you guys are good, right? Yeah. Before I move in with you guys are good. And they're like, we're good. We're solid. I'm like, cool. Move in with them. We're at this house in the neighborhood of the South Park shop for Full Circle. So I was like stopping by the shop. I was familiar. Yeah. And I was doing my apprenticeship, and basically Marcus had quit Full Circle by the time I moved to San Diego. There was a guy at the shop who was not the most savory character. He was doing some poisonous shit. Marcus couldn't stand for it, and because Marcus is so outspoken, even though he's new at the shop, new in town, he's like, Bill, it's this guy or me. You gotta fire this fucking guy. Bill is not the most confrontational person. Sure. And, he was like, I will. But he didn't do it basically as fast as Marcus wanted it to. So Marcus left in the middle of the night, which he's done at multiple shops. And, just took all the stuff and left. And so it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah. That's not the way.
And he opened up his own space. Yeah. But like I said, I think that Marcus, like we said, is like survival mode, fight or flight. He does things a certain way.
But it just ain't
but
way.
Sure.
I have friends who've done the same thing multiple times, and they survive because we're friends. But all of us are like, fuck. It's like,
well, you forgive, don't forget. And like, I think that there's unforgivable things people can do too. But he had opened a private studio down in Barrio Logan, really cool area of San Diego. Chicano Park's there, like really historic area, and it was a collective art space where like basically there were art studios in it, and he had a prime spot, street open facing to the public. He built out this beautiful space in it, spent tens of $1,000s probably making it super nice as a tattoo shop, but he jumped the gun on all the licensing and permitting from the city. So when the city found out what was up, they're like, you owe us fucking an extra $20,000-$30,000 in these fucking all this stuff, like getting approval from an architect and all this shit. So he's like, fuck this, we're dead in the water. I can't afford to do this. So as soon as the lease is up, this is done. And I'm apprenticing.
You're not apprenticing at Bill's shop, you're apprenticing with Marcus.
I'm apprenticing with Marcus. I've moved my whole fucking life out from Austin. I'm working at a bar. I'm dooring at a bar that he helped me get the job for. A fucking live wire metal dive in San Diego. It's epic. It's historic. It's the best. But
probably had a lot of fun there.
Oh, it's too much. But so I'm working there, and again, getting to tattoo people from working at the bar.
But is that what you're supposed to be doing, or you just do it?
100%. No, the manager of the bar knew I was a tattoo apprentice. He knew Marcus. That's how I got the job. So he didn't give a shit if I was
Marcus wasn't over your shoulder. He's just like,
no. Yeah, he's like, however you get them in, victims and volunteers, And so I'm getting people in. I'm tattooing people as an apprentice. Marcus finds out the city's eventually, the time is limited on this space. So he fucking starts kind of running it a little faster and looser. And, he's stressing. He's trying to figure out what his next move is, whether he stays in San Diego, what the fuck he's going to do. There was like some manic episodes of him like helping me tattoo where he's like smoking indoors now because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, fuck this place, like grabbing my hand to help me line or stretch while I'm tattooing one of my fucking... I mean, not me as much as... Because I knew Marcus, but as my fucking clients... Where they're like, this dude is smoking a cigarette over me, grabbing Dean's hand and pulling the fucking machine across my arm. How would you feel?
That behavior sounds like, to me, he's on speed. Or is that just him being him?
Nah, he's just fucking, like I said, we're all maniacs. He's a particular kind of maniac. He was frustrated. He's trying to teach me how to do stuff and I'm not doing it. He's like fucking this, like the stern dad type of thing.
Right.
And so basically, Marcus, long story short, Marcus leaves San Diego He moves up to Santa
Leaves you
Barbara.
behind.
He moves up to Santa Barbara for a while. He goes to a shop called 805 Inc., which I knew, JJ Ortiz, like, moves up to this shop because he was familiar up there. He's like, you can move up to Santa Barbara. JJ says it's cool if you want to continue your apprenticeship up here, like all this stuff. I'm like, dude, no. I followed you here. I'm not following you up there. I'm definitely not going back to where I went to fucking high school. Like, there's nothing for me there. I'm not doing this anymore. So he helped get me a job as a front helper at Flying Panther when Rob Benavides owned the shop.
He understood why you know.
Rob knew.
No, but did Marcus understand? Okay.
More or less, but he was so much in survival mode at that point that he didn't care, take it or leave it,
Okay.
which was like why I didn't go, because he wasn't invested in me. He was invested in trying to keep it, save his ass.
Yeah.
And so Rob Benavides gave me a job. He's like, look, I know where you're at, I know what you're doing, but I can't help you that much outside of like, you know, like ask questions, but like I can't apprentice you. He's like, you know, like, I'll let me know what I can help you with and I'll do my best, but like I've got too much going on. I went back to tattooing at my house. So
You still got the same machines, or have you stepped your game up yet?
I know. I bought my first legitimate machine was a Jim Rosal liner. He's an amazing machine builder, I think in the Midwest. I should know. But Marcus vetted me. He made the introduction. So I think I hit up Jim's wife on Facebook. And then I sent them $450 for a liner. And I remember when he sent it to me like a month later, I got it and I opened it up like a fucking kid on Christmas. And the machines Jim makes are like battle ready, fucking Mad Max looking, like they're raw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I paid $450 for this? You know, like what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then I ran it and I was like, whoa. Okay, like this thing.
Zippy?
Yeah, this thing punches. And then I tattooed with it for the first time on one of my best friends who was visiting. And I was like, this thing fucks. This thing is like a Sharpie compared to what, you know, like I'm literally just drawing on the skin compared to what I was
Why
used to.
helped you define your style though? Like,
It was,
you know, when you go from a fucking, sorry to cut you off, but
No,
when you
no.
go from like rubbing two sticks together to having a Zippo, you're like, oh, I can set a fire now.
trust me, it was like, it was also one of those things, not only, it made me believe in myself more. You know, it's like you get the Nike pumps where you're like, I can jump higher with these fucking things. Like I got that machine and I was like, let's fucking go. And I had that machine. So I had some more machines. I also bought my first set of machines was from Micah Cobb, an amazing tattooer who works up in Vista at American Tattoo now, but he worked at Flying Panther at the time. He's a machine builder and an incredible tattooer. But I bought a set from him. I was tattooing at my house. Finally, I worked at Flying Panther for 1.5 years, so I don't know exactly the timeline, but eventually, maybe a year in, Rob lets me start tattooing at the shop after hours if somebody was there, but not him. So Aiden Monahan and Susan Kidder were like my tap mom and dad, and they were like, we'll help you, we'll stay late, like let us know. And it was, they were amazing. I have nothing but gratitude for them for helping me in the beginning, because like I remember doing my first tattoo at the shop, not at my house, doing a traditional rose on a friend of mine who worked at the pizza joint next to the bar, Livewire, and was like, I'm doing this traditional rose in, you know, just like red, green, and yellow. And Aiden's like, dude, fucking drop that line. Sink that shit. Don't be afraid. Like, sink that fucking line. And, you know, I'm just like, oh, okay, you know.
Were you sweating? Were you shook?
Oh, for sure. Because I just wanted to do a good job. I have the pressure of Marcus and all these tattooers and all gypsy gentlemen, like, on my shoulders and in my head of, like, I don't want to do anything but good tattoos.
Jerked, for lack of a better way to put it. You gotta scratch and claw.
Totally.
For this shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So
but I
when
want
he said sink that motherfucker, that's probably what you needed to hear.
Totally. Oh, it was 100%. And so I'm doing tattoos at Flying Panther. Shit gets weird at the shop. It turns into a bad scene. Eventually, Rob Benavides, the owner of that shop, got outed for being a predator. He got basically run out of town. I've heard he still tattoos, but he's not a good person.
It's a lonely world for those folks.
Oh yeah, and Frank Chavez owns the shop now, and Frank's the man. But it was like a whole scene, and I'm lucky I got out before I did, because the writing was kind of on the wall for some of his things. Other tattooers had left. There was a whole changing of the guard.
Nothing worse than a creep.
So, dude, no space for that. But I had breakfast with Bill one day, and he's like, dude, come work. Why are you there? You know, like, we need a front helper at the shop. Come. Jordan and Gemma also were like, Dean's in this horrible situation. He's living with us.
Yeah.
Bill's like, dude, I can give you a job at the shop as a front helper, but you got to figure out how to get out of Flying Panther. So I took a motorcycle trip, like a 2-week motorcycle trip. I had a bunch of plans that summer with my friends. I was doing all this shit, and basically I took the trip. I had like at least 2 months off at the shop. I had coverage for all my shifts. And before I came back, I'd been gone for like over a month. I called Rob and I was like, hey, I'm calling you. I want you to hear this from me. Like, I'm not coming back. Yeah. And I also want you to hear this from me before anybody else, but I'm going to go work at Full Circle for Bill. And he didn't, and you know, I'm like, he didn't poach me. This is my choice. And so, you know, Rob was just like,
isn't that a crazy concept? You being a man, that you could be poached.
But he was also that has that mentality.
But that's
like
an old school tattoo mentality.
He came up under.
But the idea is that you can't make that decision.
Totally. Well,
and I know. Sorry if you couldn't. No. The idea for the other party probably is the concept of poaching is Bill offered you a job.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's all up to you.
Totally.
An opportunity is an opportunity, but you know,
everybody does what they have to do.
Right.
And so, like,
being poached is being taken.
But I think that Rob had come up under Dragon Joe in Chicago at Jade Tattoo, which that guy, if you know anything about that guy or that history, but he is as old school as they get. Yeah. Like,
I understand it all.
And so, but he was from that school, so he had that mentality, and so he was like, all right, if that's what you want to do, like, you know, like, kind of just like gave me the like low key fuck you, but goodbye, and I started working at the shop for Bill. Bill was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, sorry, my voice is gone. But
take a little tequila.
I basically started front helping at the shop. Bill's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I need to build up a portfolio so that I could get a job at a shop. And he's like, well, from now on, you stop tattooing at home. You tattoo at the shop either before or after hours, and if you need help, you ask for it.
Wow.
And that was it.
What a gift.
And yeah, amazing. And everybody, again, I was already familiar with everybody at the shop because I lived with Jordan and Gemma. I was around, and you know, I would go to shop dinners and like whatever. Like I was in.
You're in.
And everybody, Devex Ruiz, like Pete Vaca, like a bunch of the artists who were at that shop at the time, everybody was rooting for me. So I felt so fucking lucky to have a whole shop, like a heavy hitter, amazing top tier shop in town where everybody is trying to help me.
Yeah.
And so I started doing my tattoos at the shop when I could. And again, just getting them in. Mostly people I met from the bar. And
you haven't said at any point that Bill said he would apprentice you. So
no,
were you just spending your
never.
time? If you weren't working the front, you just watching. Were you able to ask questions? Were you able to?
Yes, I was fucking chicken hawking people all day, every day, and I was a damn good front helper, but I was not the best front helper, and I was not the best front helper on purpose because I didn't want to be stuck as a fucking forever front person. I'm not a career front helper.
But those dudes that are,
they're unicorns. They're unicorns, and you pay them what they're worth. You fucking hang on to them for dear life. Well, like I said, they're unicorns, but I was working as a bike mechanic. I was working at the bar. I was also doing freelance illustration for the History 2 channel at the time for a fucking UFO series they had. And so
you believe in it?
Yes, more or less. Easy, yes. But when like I had a client like a year ago being like, you hear about the aliens? And I'm like, what? And they're like, well, they've got like UFOs. And I'm like, until you show me, and now of course the AI, everything's fucking ridiculous, but like until you show me an actual alien, not a fucking mummified cat or like a fucking, unless everybody in America can buy a ticket to fucking go see this UFO in a hangar, I'm sorry, but like I don't believe in like grays, like little green men, like the fucking all that shit, but there's something out there for sure. So I'm working at the shop, I'm tattooing, I'm working like 60 to 80 hour weeks. I'm in a relationship with my wife now.
Was she on your ass? So much?
No.
She's a patient
She
woman.
was full support. I was getting clients from her working at Trader Joe's at the time too. Before she was an ABA therapist for kids with autism, and I 100%. I got a real one.
Yeah.
And so she was that. We had one day on the week. Mondays were sacred, you know.
Yeah.
And but other than that, I just worked my fucking ass off because that was what I had to do. And also the adjustment of the living wage from Texas to San Diego was rough.
Yeah, San Diego
it was rough.
Like one of the, like Long Island. Like
I mean, it's one of the most expensive cities in the U.S. right now. But I mean, at the time, still, no matter what, that jump was tough. So I'm at the shop. I'm doing tattoos. I'm fucking building up a portfolio. Bill's like, "What's your goal?" And I was like, 6 months. We were at a shop meeting. Everybody's talking about their goals in the shop. He was like, "Dean, what are your goals?" And I was like, 6 months from now, I want to be working at a tattoo shop. And I went home that night and I'm like, fuck. Why did I say so? Why did I give myself a timeline? Like 6 months? Like what the fuck am I thinking? I'm working at the bar Livewire one night and Dominic Vasquez, who used to work at Flying Panther, had opened up his own shop, Superfly, downtown. He took over an old shop. Yeah. And he's, making a bunch of changes, hiring a bunch of new people, firing all these old people, whatever. Comes into the bar with his wife. They have kids too, so they're on a date night. They were probably, I hope they were getting loose, having some fun. And he's like, "Hey, I've seen what you've been doing, what you've been posting," because there's Instagram by this point. I'm like trying to post the few tattoos I'm proud enough to post. Yeah. He's like, "Your stuff looks good." He's like, "How'd you like to work at Superfly?" I was like, "Yes." I'm saying yes. I'm going to talk to Bill, but I'm saying yes.
But you're thinking you're never going to work for Bill?
At the time, no. At the time, no. I wasn't because...
He never made you any promises.
No, he never made me any promises, but that was also just like such a pedestal that I put it on myself. Where I'm like, why am I going to... I'm not going to start... I just was like, I'm not
No one starts at that level.
No, but I'm a fucking bottom feeder. I'm Krill right now, So like, I was like, yes, I'll take the job. I talked to Bill. 6 months to the day I started working at Superfly, downtown in the Gaslamp. Street shop, shotgun shop, just one long fucking hallway basically with like a bunch of mirrors in the back, piercing station, a bathroom, and the craziest, tiniest, dirty room like with like pipes exposed and like a slanted ceiling to where if I was washing tubes, I would have to like bend my head at a 45-degree angle.
I love that for you though.
Oh, 100%.
That's what you needed to get chops.
Oh, that it was the best.
Ground street shops, how you get chops.
I was there for 2 years. I worked my way to the top of the ladder where I was the biggest earner at the shop. The biggest earner at the shop got to have the window station. Yeah. Which was the premier station because you're facing Broadway in downtown San Diego where there's a bus stop, there's tourists, there's bars, there's restaurants, everybody walks by, sees what you're doing. Unless you're doing an intimate tattoo, private tattoo where you got to put up some screens or whatever, you're on display. Yeah. So I realized that also wasn't the most glamorous station to have once I got it because there'd be like homeless dudes who would press their fucking dick and balls against the window or fucking street urchins staring at you when you're tattooing some girl's midriff being like, "Get the fuck out of here." Like it was, or when street people come in and you're the first person they talk to. If I'm not tattooing and I'm like paint and flash, you want to look busy and I stay busy, but like you're paint and flash.
But you're dealing with them.
I tattooed homeless people. People get their homeless people would get their SSID checks, like their Social Security, once a month. So once a month we get a little rush usually of like homeless people, whereas like if they got money, you're either taking their money and doing a tattoo. If their ID is valid and they got money, you're doing that tattoo, or they're buying fucking crank. Sure. Or glass down the street, so you're getting that money. Yeah. The jail is also right down the street. So you'd have people come fresh out of jail where like a tattoo shop's one of the few places they can walk into. They don't have to spend money. They can just look around. They can feel like a normal citizen back in society again and hang out and talk to somebody. And so you'd see crazy jailhouse tattoos where dudes would be like, "What can you do with this? Or can you add on to that?" And you're just like, some of it was rough. Some of it was fucking amazing. I love amazing. Yeah. But they never wanted to pay. They never wanted to pay, and I'm not charging shit at the time. I'm working at a street shop. I'm like, it's the whole like, it's the whole like, how much does it cost? What's your budget? Trying to figure that shit out. And so I'm not giving them away, but I'm for sure like full on imposter syndrome. My first 6 months to a year working at this shop, because you're starting to do street shop shit, walk-ins where all the tattoos I was basically doing when I was doing house tattoos were traditional for the most part. Because that was, fucking 9-round.
Did you like that?
Fucking 13 mag, whatever. Oh, I did, because it was like, I love traditional. I love traditional. That's how I started, and that's what everybody was doing at Flying Panther at the time, and like really good traditional, and it just made sense as like a solid lines, clean solid lines, solid color, smooth fading, like all this stuff to where it made sense to me already how it was like traditional was also a good way to learn mechanics of tattooing.
For sure.
And so that was what I wanted to do when I first like that was my portfolio. I had a photo album portfolio until I made my first like
If you were painting Flash, was it super classic stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Like Percy Waters, Burt Grimm, like Shaw stuff, it's just like all that. And I of course now Instagram's a thing though too, so you're getting exposed to more stuff like where you can find all kinds of shit.
So bananas.
Yeah, and you're also creating an account where you're trying to get appointments and showcase your work and like artifact your own work. And so it was amazing because I feel like I got a taste of like traditional tattooing in the sense that San Diego is a huge military town. We got all branches of the military there. You would literally have a van full of kids fresh out of fucking boot camp come through, all want tattoos, sitting on the ground, filling out clipboards, fucking dipping spit cups, buying Gatorade and whatever they could across the street, and hanging out until everybody was tattooed and they could go back to base. And you'd be doing tribal wolf heads, fucking Roman numerals, like crosses, anchors.
That's how you get it. That's how you get at it.
It was the best. It was the best. But like I said, full on imposter syndrome for that first year almost, because then you're trying to do everything. And I remember, I'm working with coils and steel tubes, and Dominic, my boss at the time, it was just like, dude, you can do this. Use a Type 5 or Type 3. And I'm like, I've never used a needle that small.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. He's like, somebody wants a fine line rose, like a blackberry. He's like, you can do that. My first chest piece, my first full chest piece, where you're just like, show him the drawings, you get the drawings ready, and he's like, you gotta bury it. Just fucking bury that shit and go for it. Like getting these like pep talks from Dominic before I did these tattoos, when I've never done a full chest piece. I've never tattooed really a chest.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you're going for it. So it was an amazing place to cut your teeth, because you got those guys, you got tourists. I tattooed juggalos. The House of Blues is right there. The Juggalos would come in town. You come to somebody with fucking full-on Dark Carnival war paint, and you're like, have to tattoo them. Like I said, like the homeless people, we'd all draw straws to tattoo. Like if a homeless person came in, where you're just like, who's jumping on this grenade now? Like, where you'd be like, fucking arms straight out, fast as possible. Yeah, smelling like somebody threw up in a fucking ashtray. So bad. But so you have all these crazy downtown gas lamp antics. I'm finally like figuring some stuff out. I'm still going full circle. I had a dragon to do, a big dragon on a dude's arm. I went to full circle. There's a speakeasy at the time, a little house that they had some of the more booked out artists at, and I was with Bill for like on and off for like 2 weeks, having him rip apart these dragons that I was trying to draw and having me redraw. Oh, just totally. And I found pictures of it recently, and it's okay, but it's nothing like what I'm doing now, and definitely nothing like what even Bill was doing then. Like, you could see the influence of Bill in that dragon that I drew, but it's still not the dragons that Bill's doing now. So
who's doing nobody's doing the dragons.
I mean,
there's a couple big dogs in the dragon realm, but Bill stands out.
Oh, 100%. He's got a voice, and it's a loud one. But basically, I'm working at that shop. It's 2 years. People are coming, people are going. There's biker element to it, some unsavory characters being hired. Some dude one day got fired. He was a piece of shit, and I walked in. I was usually like, I'm that guy who's like trying to be the first to show up and the last to leave.
Yeah.
Like I said, I worked my way to the top of that ladder. I come in one day to open the shop after this guy had been like basically let go. The door is swinging open on Broadway, downtown. I'm like, something's fucked. I walk in, all his shit's, there's trash flying around. His station's been emptied, and all of our power supplies as a fuck you are in the mop bucket in the back.
Like in the water?
In the water. In dirty water. So obviously everybody's on the fucking horn trying to figure out what happened.
All y'all script. Nobody can tattoo.
No, boss is on the fucking. Luckily, I had a backup supply. I also had
You
like
seem like a guy to have it back.
yeah, I try to be prepared, but
What is Swiss Army?
Swiss Army Dean, yeah, for sure. So like, so we're all still we are all tattooing that day. We're trying to put a fucking hit out on this guy, you know.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, that's a dude who deserves to get his ass.
but it was a great place to cut my teeth. We had a bunch of great experiences. I got to do a lot of different tattoos, and I was able to learn the value in doing all these different tattoos, because I think that I see that sometimes with newer tattooers or apprentices where they're like, I don't want to do Old English on this
Fuck
person's,
you.
and you're like, why don't you want to do English or Old English? And they're like, well, I want to do traditional, or I want to do black work, or I want to do Japanese, or whatever it is. When you're like, but don't you think you could learn something from doing a technical tattoo like this, or like, you know, like there's always something to learn from every tattoo, and if you just want to do what you want to do in the beginning, you're fucked. But so
you can't be nobody that way.
no, 100%.
First of all, there was a time where Old English letters were a gift, or a fucking gift. You know what I mean? Because you could do them. Even a young tattooer could do them. Solid, fill them in, send them on their way. It's fucking.
I don't do that many walk-ins nowadays. I'm very lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes in and I have the time to do a walk-in and they want Old English, that's the fucking easiest. That's easy money.
Yes.
And it's gonna look sick. Like it's just like you can't. I don't
Anybody
know.
who's like, I've been tattooing 6 months. I just do stipple black and gray. I'm saying with that.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah.
No, straight up. I mean, you could do a whole segment on this show that's fuck you
Because
for blank.
We can,
When
you
tattooing
can call
nowadays.
Bill right now, and Bill can come up here, and I can say, "Hey, Bill, how long did it take you to get to do just dragons every day?"
Yeah.
And Bill's gonna say, "It took me 30 years,
Right.
or whatever."
Yeah.
A very long time. I don't know how long Bill's been at it, but I'm assuming it's been most of his career. He's been moving in one direction, and he's finally achieved it.
Yeah.
You don't get to just pick when you're just walked in the door.
No, but I think that social media, like
That's
I said, social media nowadays, you
They
look at that, you
create
see
pockets for
something,
that.
you see something, and you don't see all the work that goes into what it took to get somebody there. Of course, there's always going to be freaks, there's always going to be prodigies, and people who just like, nowadays there's tattooers who like, when they're like, I'm celebrating my 4th year of tattooing, my 7th year this year, and you're like, fuck you, dude,
And they're
what the
just-
fuck,
they're
dude,
destroying, yeah.
straight up. And I'm still figuring it out, you know, like, but I think that, so basically, I mean, that's just what it is now, and I think the bar for entry is lower than it's ever been for tattooing.
Yes.
Whereas I was exposed to tattooing before I was actually tattooing, but I feel like I was exposed at a point where there were a lot of more of those like old school mentalities that are like, again, the idea of an apprentice now is so abstract. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's more about
Yes.
like having the right kind of things instilled in an apprentice so that they can carry things forward properly. But
The way I came up, and the way everyone around me came up was, you get an apprenticeship, and you do what's ever asked of you for a year and a half, and then you start doing small tattoos and tattoo. But I remember the first time I had someone on this podcast who is exceptional, and he was like, "I paid $3,500 for my apprenticeship."
yeah.
I was just like, "What?" And he's fucking good.
But did they pay that much money and get a proper apprenticeship?
Not really. I mean, they got a real apprenticeship, but it was also rough.
Pay money or don't pay money. I don't think that like if you pay money and you're a tattooer at the end of it, good for you. That's fine.
Yes, I'm not.
But
against
if you
it.
pay
I just
money
never heard
and
of it.
you got a bunch of bullshit, like that's, I mean, you just
You
got
got
fucking,
fucked.
yeah, exactly. But I think that it's also like,
But I just wasn't.
I also
familiar
think
with
that it's also, again, like kind of like the whole unicorn thing where if somebody teaches you tattooing because they see something in you, they don't charge you money. They're just like,
Yeah.
So the thing, I was having a conversation with Nate Hudak last night or the night before. We're rooming together here at Pagoda this year, and he's an amazing tattooer. Just like neither of us have any interest in an apprentice,
Yeah.
and maybe one day, but it would be like the stars align or whatever. And we both, any tattooer who's been around long enough, you have people asking you.
Yeah.
And the one thing that the only piece of advice I can give anybody who wants a tattoo, especially nowadays, given what tattooing is like right now, is make yourself undeniable.
Yeah.
Make yourself undeniable. Whether it's your art or your integrity, or
Yeah.
hopefully some combination of those two things.
Sure.
Because if somebody comes in with a portfolio, like I said, we get people who come by the shop no tattoos or very little tattoos, never been tattooed at the shop, don't know who Bill is, don't know anybody at the shop. Like I said, they've never been there and they don't have any tattoos from us, and they want an apprenticeship and they want to show us their art. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, already you're getting off on the wrong foot. But if you showed me your art, say even if you didn't have any tattoos, and you open up your portfolio, I open up your portfolio, and I'm like, fuck, yo, like what is this?
Away.
What did you did this? You made this?
Yeah.
Okay, what's up? Like, and then have a conversation, or like I said, somebody who's getting tattooed at the shop, and you're like, man, this kid is fucking, something about this kid is just like, they're gonna tattoo.
Yeah.
They're gonna tattoo.
Yeah.
If we don't teach them, somebody will. But like I said, the undeniable aspect of that, especially, like, you have to have the character. I said art or character, but like your art could be incredible and you could be a piece of shit. So like, you have to have a combination of the two. But that's the only thing that gives you a shot. It doesn't guarantee you a place at the table. No. It gives you a shot. And people have hit me up in person. People have hit me up on DM. And not saying like, oh, so everybody wants to apprentice from me or whatever. I'm just saying like, people. That's the nature. That's the nature of tattooing now. Is people think it's fun and they want to do it, and so they're gonna fucking cold call shops and stop by shops and show people their portfolios until hopefully they get one, and they don't care who it is or what it is. They just want to get one, and then that's also how like you know, there's so many fucking apprentices that are like taken on as apprentice because the shop owner or the artist doesn't know how to ask for a good help or isn't willing to pay for it, and then they just get fucking hosed, and then you turn out a half-assed tattooer 6 months later or a year later who's fucking just taking the air out of the room, you know, like.
You know, I'm a country boy.
Yeah.
Hillbilly, whatever you want to call me. I'm not a redneck. I go to the Moose Lodge in my little town. When I say little town, I mean smaller than this town.
Yeah.
If you've ridden through this town's bigger than where I live.
Okay, yeah.
3,500 people.
Bigger than where I'm from, that's for sure.
3,500 people were out there, okay? And this motherfucker who works the kitchen at the Moose Lodge has fucking 11 tattoos on his face, all jailhouse, bunch of bad shit.
But are all of his tattoos on his face, or he's got a okay?
No, but he doesn't have like a completed tattoo anywhere.
Sure.
It's all just outlines of stuff, you know.
Just yeah.
Yeah, and some of it's big, some of it's little. He's a wacky looking guy, and he DMs me and says, "Hey," he DM'd me about 3 months ago. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about getting a tattoo license. I didn't respond to it.
License?
Okay. Yeah. And then
So he's just going straight for the top shelf.
Yeah. And then he hits me up maybe 6 weeks ago and says, "Hey, I know you're busy.
I got the license.
I want to get a tattoo license." And I was like, didn't respond. And then I don't know what made me respond, but recently hit me up and says, "Hey, I know you're very busy. I've seen you at the Moose. I know you own Alley Cat. I'm serious about being a tattooer, and I want you to tell me how to get a license.
Come to the shop."
And I
first.
Yes. And I was like, I don't know you. And I don't know what makes you think that I spent 27 years doing this, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. I don't know you.
Yeah.
If you're tattooing out of your house, you're already fucking up. So my advice to you is to find some tattooer that you respect and get a lot of tattoos from.
But what if he was tattooing out of his house and you saw his tattoos and you're like, oh shit. I mean, I know that's not the case, but
That's not the case here. Well, like you said, if he's undeniable, I wouldn't let him get away.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would not hand it to him either.
Sure.
I would say, why are you doing decent tattoos but covered in shit? And then I would say, you should really focus on getting those fixed so that someone might take you seriously.
I like how you only gave him decent. Like, you can't be amazing. Only
you can't.
Decent at best.
Yeah.
But no, I mean...
But he finally said to me, "You're right, I don't know you. I'm sorry for making that assumption. Thank you for responding."
Okay.
If you would look at this dude, you wouldn't think that he would articulate that response.
Okay.
So I'm shocked. But most people, when I tell them to get a bunch of tattoos, they go, "You're gatekeeping and trying to get money out of me."
Sure, but it's also like he DM'd you, whereas normally, like I said, come to the shop.
They're scared to come to the shop.
But no, not only that, but like think about the fact that kids just think that they can fucking FaceTime their friends and family in public.
I ain't your homie.
Well, but just that you're in the lobby of the shop or walking on the sidewalk and you're fucking talking to your phone in your hand.
Policy is
and I'm like,
outside.
oh, Hunter, I am the guy at the shop where if somebody starts FaceTiming in front of their tattooer will be like, if you don't turn this off, that guy over there is gonna start yelling at us.
Yeah.
Because I can't fucking stand for that shit. And I do it politely. I'm polite the first time, but even if there's people in the lobby, if I can hear you fucking FaceTiming in the lobby, I'm gonna be like, yo, you know, like I can't abide it.
There'll be some crazy hood bitch in there screaming.
Sure,
and their phone, and this fucking 5'2", 20-year-old girl that works for me will be like, "Ma'am, take that outside," because I've told her this is a no.
Bless her.
No,
you know, like bless her heart. But it's just like one of those things where like that's a cultural thing. I realize that's like kids nowadays think it's normal and okay to just speakerphone, FaceTime out loud, or whatever. And so that guy might think that this is how you do it. Sure. I'm going to DM you. I'm not going to come by the shop. And that's why I have to assume if I'm giving kids the benefit of the doubt, they're just cold calling these shops or DMing you or whatever. When I'm like, that, if you wanted to learn about tattooing, you fucking get tattooed. If you're trying to be an apprentice and you can't figure it out and you can't like get tattooed and you're taking a fucking workshop, watch what they're doing.
Yes.
If I'm tattooing somebody and they're asking me questions about a tattoo,
about the execution,
sure, like yes, and I know that it's for a reason where they're like artistic, or maybe they've done some stick and pokes, or maybe they've actually done a few tattoos or whatever. I don't care. It's a 7 round. I'm using dynamic, like whatever I'll tell them is like I'm not giving them the keys to the kingdom by telling them that. That doesn't make them a tattooer.
Yeah.
And I'm also just not trying to be a dick, but at the same time, I don't think that, like, I'll answer your questions, but I don't know. I think that there's this whole thing where 5 years ago, halfway into me tattooing, if his art was really good and they got a bunch of tattoos and were getting tattooed and like wanted to maybe try tattooing, I'd be like, go for it, sure.
Yeah.
Now? No. Sorry.
Right.
It's full. And what I didn't realize is tattooing's been full.
It has been full.
No, tattooing doesn't need us. Tattooing doesn't need anybody for the most part. So you need to prove, somebody else said this, but it's like you need to prove to tattooing that you deserve a place at the table.
You also need to earn your way in.
100%.
And again, man, you know, Mike Wilson, one of the greats, man.
Fucking also another legend.
Legend. I'm so for you know the greatest tattooers in this building. Look at Mike Wilson and go, that's the guy, right? So, and this kid DM'd me, and I rarely answer these motherfuckers. Oh. But this kid, not the guy I'm talking about now, but a different one. I grew up with his father, and I liked his father, but his father was a rough guy.
Okay.
Which the result was this kid had a rough life.
Okay.
And so, I didn't want to be too discouraging. I said to him, you know, again, you just need to get a lot of tattoos from someone you respect. Like, you know, that's what's... And he's just like, man, you're not going to keep me out of this thing. You're a gatekeeper. And I said that, and Mike Wilson goes, he's a fence jumper. That's what the fuck he is. He's somebody who's trying to get over without coming through. Fuck that.
So, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's been like a slogan, what have you, in tattoo, like bring back gatekeeping in tattooing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
As like a joke, half joke maybe, but like
it's just an answer to the internet, really.
Sure. And I don't think that when people like, of course anybody can weaponize the word gatekeeping and turn it into this toxic negative thing in tattooing, but if I were to really like look at bring back gatekeeping, it's more about protect tattooing.
1,000%.
And for all of us who have gotten as far as we've gotten, wherever we are, I'm nobody. I'm not trying to say that I'm anybody, and I've still got so much to learn, and I'm so grateful for all the opportunities, all the opportunities.
Cities got jerked off a bunch of times and still persisted by having 2 jobs or more.
I'm not going to say I'm not seasoned and experienced in certain ways, sure, but I think that like for me it's like don't bring back gatekeeping, but it's more like protect tattooing.
Yeah.
As far as like it's sacred to us for what we've sacrificed. And there's a kid.
It's responsibility to make sure our shop's dope. You can't let just anybody in.
Sure, yeah.
Let everybody's dope.
And there have been kids who've like come in and where you're like want a tattoo, and you're like, why do you want a tattoo? Do you have any tattoos? Do you love tattooing? And they're like, I don't even know. And you're like, well, of course you don't know because you haven't like the amount of time. Like I said, we're all fucking maniacs, dude.
Yeah.
All of us.
And so many people aren't ready for that either. But, you know, like bourbon, we talk about bourbon, and it's a big thing nowadays. And there's these guys on YouTube called Liquor Store Bros.
Okay.
And so they have a video, and this guy walks in, and he's like, "Hey man, you got any Blantons back there?" And the guy's like, "No, sorry." And then the next store comes in, he's like, "Hey dude, good to see you again. How you been?" "Good, it's been a couple weeks." Brings 3 bottles of bourbon up to the front and goes, "Hey man, any Blantons hanging around?" He's like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
Because that guy is invested in the business. He's invested in the culture because he's getting multiple bourbons that he wants to explore, and he has a rapport with that guy.
Sure.
That's a great example of how to find yourself a space in this game.
Totally.
Is to indulge in it, explore it, respect it, support it.
I mean, 100%. I'm with you. But I think that, like, any subculture, which tattooing started as a subculture, where, like, you have people who are becoming tattooers originally were on, like, the periphery and, like, didn't maybe necessarily fit in any one box and, like, didn't know, like tattooing was this unique thing where they all of a sudden fit and were able to, like, express themselves and do this thing. But, like, you think about, like, hardcore or, like, metal, like, music culture where, like, punk, where, like, back in the day, the only way to ascribe to that culture was to be immersed in it.
Yeah.
You needed to get the zines, you needed to go to the shows, you needed to follow a band, like, you needed to do all this shit
Grimy
to
shit
be
sometimes.
a part of that.
Yeah.
And now you don't. Yeah. Now, like, you listen to Turnstile and you say you fucking listen to hardcore. It's like one of those things where, like, you can't, tattooing is the same.
Yes.
Where, like, you used to have to immerse yourself in it to have a chance at really being a part of it.
You
and
don't
now
have to.
we have these studios and these artists who buy their machines. Like, they've never actually bought a machine from a builder. They've never gone, like, they don't have to participate in the community of tattooing as a whole.
We don't have to embrace them.
We don't have to embrace them. I'm not saying that. And, like, they can still be an amazing tattooer too. But I'm saying, like, as a whole, like that is what has watered down tattooing to the place that we're at, where, like, you see tattooers who are established, who have been doing it for 30 years, who are struggling to pay their bills or keep their shop running, or tattooers who are, like, I don't know. I think that it's like that is sad.
There's no
and
rule either to that.
No, because
some of those motherfuckers don't play the game at all.
No, well, totally,
Don't involve with it.
100%,
There's some of that too.
100%, and I
It
think
runs
that,
the game.
yeah, there's a spectrum for tattooing.
Correct. Yeah.
But you look at a show like this, like Pagoda, and everybody here, we're all tuned in to tattooing in a similar way, where, like, you have to give to tattooing to get.
Well, all of us are in love.
Yeah, 100%. You have to be obsessed.
so
though.
much deeper.
You have to be obsessed because we have a, like, every apprentice that I've ever worked with, I've never had an apprentice, but every apprentice I've worked at with a shop usually ends up hating me.
You on the ass?
I'm not as much, I used to be, but I'm not on their ass as much as I'm like, they'll be like, "Hey, can you help me with this drawing?" And I'm like, "Don't ask me." And they'll be like, "Well, I think, like, I'd like to know what you think," or, like, whatever. And I'm just like, if I redraw this for you, if I give you my opinion, if you take it, I am going to judge you. But I am going to judge you harder on the points that you ignore. On the things, if I redraw this for you and you pump out the same fucking bullshit you just showed me, you're dead to me. Like, it's not like you're dead to me, but it's just like, if I'm unfortunate, and I know this is not necessarily the best characteristic, but, like, when people disappoint me in a way like that, I write you off. Because I'm just like, I took the time, I fucking gave you my opinion, my advice, and my experience, and I helped you make this better, but then you went ahead and did your own thing because you're lazy, or you think you know better, or both, or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But it's just like when you're a baby in tattooing and you don't know shit, and then you ask somebody for help and then you don't take it. Like, it's the whole thing where, like, there's certain tattooers who, like, iPads are amazing tools, we all use them now, whatever. I love paper still too, but I also use an iPad. But it's like, there's so many tattooers now who've gotten lost in getting an iPad and being able to, like, trace like not having to do certain homework and find that creativity and those like little quirks and like coincidences and like, you know, like things where they're like exploring it and learning it for themselves. And then you can see when a design is pumped out that loses this like soul essentially because the person took it too literally from the reference or just traced some other tattoo and didn't even try to do anything, right? And like so there's that, but then there's also people who like try too hard to reinvent the wheel when you're like you're not gonna I was talking with Stuart Modern Classics Robson today about how the fact that like you're not gonna reinvent Fudo Mio, you're not gonna like, you know, like there's certain things where like
Tomo did it. If you don't have a book,
you can put your spin on it if you're confident and comfortable, if you have an artistic style. Sure. But there's just no, you're not everything has been drawn already. For a lot
Jerry did the ship, Tomo did Fudo. Like there's some shit you just can't.
Totally, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. You might be able to put your spin on it, but I think that, like I said, especially for younger people, they're like they want to make their mark. They want to do something different. They have an opportunity to do a Rock of Ages, and they're like, I'm going to do it this way. And you're like, you know how many times this has been done flawlessly? Like, I'm sorry, but
part of that is ego of a young man or woman, and part of it is inability to see the error in their ways. Like they just don't have. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like
well,
you know, if you think that you can draw a rose better than Scott Sylvia, or in a way that is even half as interesting, then you should hang it up. You can do a great rose,
right?
A lot of people can, but you can't outdo that rose.
No, and I mean, Scott Sylvia. There are like tattooers now who at this point are known for certain things where it's like you think about a traditional rose and it's like all roads lead to Scott's roses.
Yeah.
All eagles lead to Gordon's eagles.
Sure.
Like you can't avoid that at this point. And like yes, there are amazing people who do yes, but I just think that
eagle yesterday.
I think dude, Grace is the fucking man. Yeah. But I think that tattooing is still a language where there are rules that can be bent and broken, but you need to know those rules before you can bend and break them. And and
that concept holds up.
It does.
Because, like you said, there's been 10,000 motherfuckers who thought they could, and turns out they couldn't.
Well, when we started this, and I don't know if we were recording or not, but you were saying you felt like you had seen me progress in the last year.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were good before, but you took fire. Like in the last year, you went bananas.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think that I've had this conversation with other people before, but there's like a saying I think that says that luck is when opportunity meets experience. So I'm starting to draw more stuff on. Bill's really been on me about drawing shit on because he draws on these insane sleeves and back pieces and all this stuff. These dragons and more than just that. And then we have an artist, Man Huynh, at the shop who's newer. He's a Vietnamese artist who's amazing. He draws everything on. Thomas Pinheiro draws stuff on. And Bill's like, dude, you're starting to do large scale Japanese and you're the only one who's not drawing all this stuff on. And I'm just like, fuck. He's like, I know you can do it. So like now I'm starting to try and draw all this stuff on. Yeah. And I've done the homework, you know, but you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
Until you're tempted.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, there's like, I know a thing or two about a thing or two, but the only thing I know for certain is that I don't know shit. And tattooing is the ultimate humbling thing where like you think you got it and then you do a tattoo and you're just like, I don't know shit.
It can be a combination of
I want to quit.
Your mourning, your client, and the drawing not landing, and next thing you know, tattooing whipped your ass today.
100%. 100%.
Just whipped your ass.
But that's for me. I'm the type of person that keeps me coming back.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
But isn't that what it takes to take off after 10 years?
Sure. I mean, Bill asked me the other night when we were out having drinks, like months ago, but at this point. But it was just like he was like, how often do you tattoo that you're like, not flawless, but like stoked on, where you think you hit a home run, and I'm like, dude, I can always get on base, but twice a year maybe. Like I never hit home runs. Yeah. Like you hit home runs. You hit home runs all the fucking time.
Did you ask him the same question?
But
is he happy with what he's putting out?
I think he's happy with what he's putting out, but he's trying to do things better. He's trying to do things different. He's taking in all the stimulus, all the social media, all the tattooers who are just like everything in tattooing that's like so fucking good. It's the best of times and the worst of times. So it's like we all have fucking these standards we set ourselves against, and we do a tattoo that we think is good, and then you get on Instagram after work and it's just like heater. Like you just see something that makes you're just like, oh, I thought I did a good tattoo today, turns out I fucking suck.
Yeah.
So like obviously what is it, comparison is the thief of joy.
Correct.
But at the same time, like, you just need to do the best that you can do. You need to treat your clients the best you can treat them. You need to stoke them out on their tattoo and their experience, because that's what pays your bills.
And they deserve the best.
Totally. But if I do a tattoo, if I post a tattoo on Instagram that I know is a solid fucking tattoo, and it doesn't get more than 100 likes or something fucking, you know, like whatever, some
is that a letdown for you?
Arbitrary number that like I still get caught up in being like, why doesn't anybody like this? Like, I like this. Yeah, exactly. I'm not perfect by any means, but Johann Svan or like somebody will be like, sick one, you know, and then you're like, fuck yeah.
And you know what he's doing.
You know, well, I know what he's doing, but a tattooer you respect, him as an example of somebody who you like respect, admire, is crushing it in your opinion, and they comment on that tattoo that didn't do so well on Instagram and the algorithm, and then you're like, fuck yeah. But they aren't paying your bills. They aren't getting tattooed by you. Like that's what.
Do you think about who's gonna see your tattoo when you post it?
I do.
You do?
I do. Like I said, I'm human. I don't.
You know who follows you.
I don't post 50% of what I do.
Yeah.
At least. Maybe I don't post at least, maybe more like 60%. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, quantified it like that. But the amount of times that I'll make a post, and then even like I think the tattoo's good enough to post, or it's something I want to put out there, and then I don't know what to say, like had fun doing this, or like this, you know, like this same old shit where I'm just like, I just run away from it. And also again, I have kids,
but you can always say,
I have a family, and I'm just like, shit's happening around me where I'm like, this is not important. This is not as important as what's happening in my life around me right now, and I should not care about Instagram, and I should care about my family.
You can always say wolf for Carrie.
Yeah,
today.
totally.
And it's all.
Oh, you know, Gordon Combs, it's the same thing. He'll be like, thanks, thanks, Jason, and that's it. And you're like, that's a sick tattoo, and you fucking double tap that, or you fucking quadruple tap that if you could. But it's just like,
He asked me, Gordon. I don't know Gordon, but we started talking yesterday, and he asked me. He was like, "You've been doing it for a long time, this podcast." Right? Yeah. He goes, "Is there people you just don't want to fucking do it with?" And I go, "Yeah,
probably.
Of course there are." Okay.
Or people you thought you wanted to do it with, and then it's happening, and you're like, oh.
Oh, I've had that too. Not a lot of that though. Man,
good.
For as many as I've done, I mean, I'd say less than 10.
So okay, think about.
But I also handpick you almost.
But I have a thing about like intuition, right? Where like that gut instinct you get about somebody. Where I practice.
I live my whole life about it.
I practice though. I try and practice as much as I can not to be as judgmental.
Sure.
On people, on tattoos, on everything. Because I think that...
You're better than me. You're a better person.
No, I am still very judgmental. Are you kidding? But like, I think that at the same time, it's like, you recognize that about yourself. You're like, maybe I'm too judgmental, so I should be less judgmental. But then you also think about, like, you meet somebody, and there's just that fucking, the hair on the back of your neck that pricks up, and you're just like, I don't like this person. Or this is not my people, whatever. And at this point, I'm almost 40. My gut has gotten me this far in life.
Bro, I do every
Guess what? It hasn't led me wrong, really, that much yet.
Every decision I make by my gut.
And you know what? I also, the people who I didn't like at first, who I'm good friends with now, are some of my best friends. And I love that. I love when that happens.
You know, there's people that have like, I had the wrong impression of them, and then we became friends. But usually, if somebody rubs me the wrong way, I'm inconsolable. I'm over it. I just never, like, I'm not going to go into it, but we joke at the shop because there's a guy who I fucking love. It's my dog. He's here. I ain't fuck with him at first. I mean, I didn't fuck with him.
That's what I'm saying.
But he's the only one that's ever made it through.
But that makes it stronger.
Yes.
That does make it stronger.
But he's my dog.
But so that's what I'm saying is like, those things, those few relationships I have show me that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not you know, like, and then of course there's context, there's like all this different stuff, situational things, but I think that it is the whole thing of like with tattooing, you know, like water finds its level.
Yes.
You know, so we all end up where we need to be, where we're supposed to be. We find each other, we find our people. When it comes to competition in shops and shops being busy, shops being slow, the cream still rises to the top.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of these like sayings and platitudes that like still count, but I think that we are living in this world again where like you don't need to be successful at tattooing necessarily to be successful at tattooing, but that also doesn't mean that you're giving to tattooing, or even whether or not that means you're taking away from tattooing, because I think that tattooing is bigger than all of us.
See the sign that shows up a couple days ago? It says stop. What have you done for tattooing lately?
No, I love that.
We had to talk about it the other night. You know Jimmy?
Yeah. I met him.
That's my dog. Good dude. And he's like talking about how important that sign is, and I'm like, it's only important to people who aren't giving.
But
I
think that the people who aren't giving don't even think about it.
But shouldn't you be in the practice of doing it?
I think
like trying hard.
I believe you should.
Take me out of it, because there's a lot of people that, you know, that got an opinion about me because I'm not a tattooer. You know, but so take me out of it.
How many tattoos have you done? I know you tattooed.
I've done a fucking bunch of tattoos.
Right. So,
but that's not what. I didn't say that to even talk about that. What I'm saying is, isn't you putting your best foot forward on every tattoo that you do, doing something great for tattooing? Like you work at a top level shop, you have people around you that you respect, and it's elevated.
yeah.
I feel like giving your all is doing your best for the game.
It is, and it's also not enough. But maybe that's my personal attitude.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the whole thing with tattooing being slow for everybody. A year ago, everybody was hiring and everybody was slow. But now everybody's just slow. So, like a year ago, when everybody was hiring and everybody was slow, I'm like, where's the lie? Why do you need to hire if you're slow? Who's fucking really killing it right now so hard that like, you know, like who's good and who's actually like suffering? Because I don't want anybody to do bad in tattooing, but at the same time, for all the people who are like getting out of tattooing right now, air quotes, like where it's like, bye,
see ya.
Yeah,
See
don't
ya,
let the
dog.
door hit you with a good
I
load
don't want
switch.
anybody to do bad in tattooing either. But
I don't wish harm on anybody in that way, but at the same time, I think that it's like most tattooers I know are also, we're all creatures of habit. So it's like you find something that works, you do that forever, and then it works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so everything around us in our fucking, again, like this is my purview as like a parent too. It's like the world comes at you faster, and there's a lot more of it nowadays, where it's just like there's so much more we have to contend with in a day. Whereas like you think about maybe not so much our parents, but our grandparents are like, you wake up, you fucking make breakfast. Like the first stimulus you're gonna get is the radio in the car when you drive somewhere. Yeah. Whereas like now you wake up and you're like, hey Siri, set an alarm for these fucking hard-boiled eggs, and hey Alexa, what's the fucking weather today? And then like looking at your calendar, or you got a notification about a reschedule, or like you're just immediately fucking bombarded with shit. There's so much noise nowadays that like when you're a tattooer, tattooing alone is enough. Like you look at somebody like Philip, or like somebody who's like, I'm gonna live in the mountains and I'm just gonna tattoo, and I'm gonna like I'm gonna tune out all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm barely gonna I'm not gonna have social media, I'm gonna like whatever. Like that's, to not have social media today seems like a heroic act.
Yeah.
When it's just like, no, you're smart enough to know you don't need to participate in this shit. Yeah. But as a tattooer, you need to have Instagram. You need to be able. Instagram is a way where like I hope tattooers nowadays artifacting their work, like archiving their work in a way beyond Instagram. Yeah. Like I finally like got serious and got a good camera a couple years ago, and was like, I need to take photos.
I scan a bunch of shit.
And dude, I mean, there's straight up like tattooers whose accounts have been hacked or stolen or whatever. And then after that happened, I'll see other tattooers who I really admire. Well, I'll screenshot their shit for an hour
Yeah.
Just to be like, I have all of these tattoos to look at if shit ever goes down. But also, I mean, that's the same thing when I'm talking about is like when they're the tattooers who can still be successful but don't buy any books, don't go into shows, don't do any guest spots, don't like...
They're different.
Like, you'll be successful for so long, but you're a fucking tourist, in my opinion. Like, you have to give to tattooing at a certain point to really be a part of tattooing.
Man, I'm not going to say any names, but I know a biker tattooer that is kind of a rough around the edges guy.
Yeah.
He's our age. He's not an old guy. And he tattoos alone, and he doesn't look at Instagram. And he's a fucking ripper. And he draws so fucking good. And his shit is loud and fast like a motherfucker. When we're not recording, I'll show you the shit. And he don't pay attention to nobody.
What about the hyena? Ron. I think his name's Ron. I can only think the hyena on Instagram. He got off Instagram for like 4 years. He's in Rhode Island. Fuck. Ron Henry. What the fuck is his name? But he's an amazing tattooer.
Yeah.
His wife, I know.
The only reason I even said that is there's a few exceptions.
Totally, 100%. But that's the whole thing too, where like tattooing isn't full of characters like it used to be. Tattooing used to be a lot of big characters and actual outlaws. There are tattooers now who act like they want to be, act like they're outlaws or act like they want to be outlaws, and they're fucking soft as baby shit.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing where it's like Richard Stell actually smoked fucking meth and drove a motorcycle from Texas to California in one trip and would do tattoos and do weird shit and then fucking drive back to California. Like those people are like that as a dinosaur age.
Not only that, but there's somebody just dying, just that's gonna hear you say that, and they can't fucking wait to be like, he was a piece of shit for this.
Oh,
or for that. Or for
say what you will about
anybody.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's tattooing is not like there's so many more tattooers and there's so many more people who are gonna be tattooers. Like, I feel like a pretty normal dude.
You're pretty regular,
you know, like I'm
tattooing is not Candyland.
No, it's not Candyland, but it's just like it used to be, like the carnival, like literally the carnival, and now it's fucking not. But it's just like, where do you find the, like I said, like
But everyone has a tolerance level.
Sure.
And you know, while Alley Cat is not a biker shop. I was going to take a shot with you. Alley Cat's not a biker shop or anything rough like that.
Pardon me.
But we also just have like things where we draw the line.
Sure.
And Andrew, who is introspective and a you know, someone.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, sir. Thanks for doing this. It's been fun.
Oh, dude. How are we doing on time?
2:20.
Fuck. All right.
Flies.
Yeah.
We won't go much longer.
Well, I was gonna text Bill too. I'm gonna see where you want to see if I can see where Bill's at?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, go ahead.
Okay. I didn't want to.
I was on pause. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
So, I mean, at this point, I've been at Full Circle for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been at Full Circle for 7 years. I am incredibly grateful for all the experiences I've had. All the things. Tattooing has given me my life.
Yeah.
My wife stays at home. Not that she fucking works her ass off. She's worth her weight in gold.
Yeah.
She's incredibly supportive. But like I said, I feel like tattooing has given me everything. And I've given a lot to tattooing.
Sure.
I don't think I'm done. I don't think I've given all I have to give. But I think that it is one of those jobs that, like, there are times when I'm genuinely jealous of some of my clients who have 9-to-5s, who have benefits and can, like, clock in, clock out 8 hours later and can fucking pursue whatever their hobbies. Yeah. Sure.
Have they?
Oh, have they been to Europe?
Yeah.
My clients?
The 9-to-5 folks.
Oh, some of them, sure, yeah. I mean,
but not as many as your peers.
Sure. I mean, I think that I've definitely had more.
Nothing against, man. I respect anybody who works for a living.
Yeah.
Tattooing gives you a passport to the world and the creative. You know, when you go tour, where have you been? Just give me 2-3 cities you've been to around the world.
Cape Town, South Africa, Yokohama, Japan.
Okay. So you see Yokohama a little bit differently than someone who's there has to wear a tie on a business trip.
Yeah.
You see it differently.
Yeah, because those guys wearing ties who are businessmen in Japan, I had the privilege of like going to Shige's studio and having those guys come and take off their fucking suits and show these bonkers fucking bodysuits that Shige did.
Yeah.
And then later make fun of me for smoking. Like what I was like I went to Japan in 2011, 12, and I was like went to a vending machine immediately, got some cigarettes. I wasn't even smoking at the time. We're at Shige's shop. I'm outside. I'm smoking a cigarette, and these guys who had come to like get video and photos taken of their bodysuits were outside on the balcony at his studio in Yokohama, and they're just like, like pointing at me, laughing at me. I'm like, "What's up? What's going on?" You know? And I'm like, those are lady cigarettes, you know? And I'm just like, I don't fucking know. I'm not from
I'm
here.
not talking about those guys.
They taste delicious, but
Americans.
but no, in general, I know that is a way we see the world, we experience the world, we get to travel and experience
But I
it.
interrupted you. You're kind of making a closing statement, but I just wanted to say,
No, not at all.
I know you do feel burnt out at times, but you have a thing that they don't have.
I think that my burnout is not. I know I have a lot more to give. I know I have a lot farther to go. And part of it is like the pressure we put on ourselves as tattooers. I don't know any tattooer who's here at this show who doesn't put pressure on themselves. I've been doing it almost a decade, and I still have imposter syndrome when I come to shows, where I'm just like, am I good enough? Am I doing the right things? Am I all these, X, Y, and Z. I also have young children at home, and I know that everybody I know who has kids who are grown wish they could have kids who are my age right now. Wish they could go back to that time.
You're right.
And so my kids fucking also, because my wife stays at home and I'm fucking working, I come home and I'm the fun one. I'm the fucking like, they're like, I miss dad. Like, you're here. Like, like they're fucking having fun with me, you know? Nick's out of the room right now, just so you know. He's awesome. I love you. You got some visitors?
Well, it's my crew, and they were like across the street.
Oh, fuck
across
yeah.
the hall, rather. Anyway,
Oh, cool.
I told them we're around.
Like I said,
You don't miss out on
once I
things.
had kids, I realized that everything outside of my family is an accessory. Tattooing is my identity in so many ways, but I don't want that to come at the expense of my kids. And it doesn't mean, and my wife, and it doesn't mean that there are still so many nights that I have walked past them to draw.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It fucking sucks.
It does.
But it's also, like I said, my wife is a fucking rock star, and she supports me in everything I do, and she knows that that's what we need to do.
My wife's the same way, man.
And my kids also know too. They recognize that. But I think that I beat myself up about shit all. I have some originals like for sale this weekend, and like I wanted to paint more. I just fucking at a certain point, I was like, this is gonna come at the cost of spending time with my family before I leave.
Sure.
And I'm a psychopath before I leave for any show. And my wife was like, why is it always like this? Why is it always like this before you leave on a trip? That it's like you wait till the last minute to do all this shit. And I'm like, honestly, if my bags were packed 2 weeks before, if all my merch was ready, if all my paintings, my prints, everything was done, I would find things to do. I would make projects, because that is just the fucking way I am. That is the way I am wired.
Plus,
and it's the way a lot of us are wired.
You know who's going to be here.
Yeah, 100%. I put the pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I'm so grateful for the people I work with, because Bill, as my current mentor, is a legendary tattooer. He's been doing it for over 30 years, and he's still pushing. He still works as much as he can, and when he comes to work, he works from when he shows up to when he leaves. He doesn't waste any fucking time.
Does he have a family?
What?
Does he have a family?
Yes, he does. And his wife Becky is amazing. She also helps run the business, and she supports him, and they're not without their own strife, and like we all deal with it. But I think that it's one of those things that like tattoo, like I was saying, it's like tattooing. I'm jealous of my clients sometimes when I think that they have a 9 to 5, they fucking check out of work, and then they're like, what are you gonna do this weekend? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like
Draw.
I'm gonna draw, I'm gonna study finger waves, I'm gonna like, oh, you're doing that for fun? And I'm like, yes, for fun, but also for my own self-improvement and betterment, and like study. And they're, you know, like, you talk to clients where you're like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I cobble shoes, I make like sandals or whatever. And you're like, oh, you're a cobbler? And they're like, no, I'm a fucking gynecologist, like whatever. Like that's their hobby, and they have all this time for like leisure and these hobbies and these things. And I'm like, that sounds really nice, but I know that tattooing is one of those things that combines my unique skill set in a way that makes me the most money, but also makes me the most fulfilled in life. And
so this weekend, I'm sorry.
No, what I was gonna say is I'm just like, I'm not seeking fame and fortune. I just want to be fulfilled in life, and this is the only thing that I've found so far. I've worked like retail, I've worked fucking bars, restaurants, I've done illustration, I've been a teacher, I've been a bike mechanic, you know, like all these different jobs I've had. I did landscaping, where I was like, people are like, oh, beats digging ditches. I'm like, motherfucker, I've dug ditches, and that shit sucks. I will never do that again if I don't have to. But I will.
Talked about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And for tattooers, there is no destination. You're going to be journeying the whole time.
Yeah.
And what that gives you is a way to set an example for your wife and children. It's a way to make your parents really proud. What the level that you operate at is hard to maintain. It's very, very difficult to sit next to Bill and do tattoos and not be scared.
Yeah, or compare. Constantly compare.
Or to be compared.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But you do it.
I'm trying.
And you'll always do it because you're a man of integrity.
Well, I'm fucking hardwired. That's just kind of who I am. I don't know if it's like the New England work hard, play hard thing, or but
that's where you're at.
Yeah.
All right, tell folks how to see your tattoos and to get tattooed by you.
I work at Full Circle Tattoo in San Diego, California. My Instagram is Dean_Flash_man. Same as my website, DeanFlashman.com. I am always available, rarely ever free, but
books are always open?
Yeah, books are always open. And I love doing all kinds of tattoos. I mean, that was one of the things that Marcus taught me, is just like how to do a little bit of everything. I'll do your fucking script. I'll do your baby's footprints. I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm happy to tattoo. That's it. I think that tattooing is one of those things it's magic. It's still magic to me. And if it's magic I can make for other people when they come to the shop, if I can get them stoked, if I can give them something that means something to them, that helps them feel better about a part of their body, that helps them see a more accurate or true version of themselves, like that's the fucking magic of tattooing. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I want to tattoo. There's stuff I want to do. There's stuff I like to tattoo. I've been doing a lot of large-scale Japanese lately, and I love that. It's like learning a fucking new language, and it's hard, and I'm still a novice, but I think that there's still magic to be found in tattooing if you find the right artist. And this fucking show, Pagoda, thank you, Justin, is like filled with magic. Yeah, dude, it's filled with magic and with the people who genuinely care not only about tattooing, but the people they're tattooing. And I think that it's one of those things that this show, I'm so sad it's ending and it's over. Oh my God. But it's like one of those things that this is something I have looked forward to every year. This is something that fucking pumps me up and gets me inspired. Yeah, dude, it's how we became friends, but it's also the connections I've made through tattooing, also the conversations that I have with all the people I interact with over this weekend. Like I said, it carries me through the year.
Yeah.
In August, that shit stokes me up till the next Pagoda. So I don't know what
We'll be talking to you about it.
Yeah, we will. I mean,
right, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
Hey man, I so much appreciate the time you've given me.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
No, it's an honor and a privilege.
Very
It's
fun,
my
an
privilege.
interesting story, and I'm glad that we found each other, and we're glad we're friends.
Yes, 100%. I can't wait to work at Alley Cat. Thank you for everything you do.
no lies, just bullshit.